good evening, and welcome back. Have you ever wondered what the Tower of London feels like after the last footsteps fade away, when even the air seems to listen? Tonight, we'll wander there together slowly, softly through the quiet stones and the stories they still remember. You might hear the soft hiss of a lantern, the faint echo of wind brushing the river. Settle into your pillow and let the warmth of your blanket and the sound of this story blend with the gentle crackle of an imagined fire. You are safe here. The night outside moves slowly, and so will we. Before we begin, where are you listening from tonight? What hour is it where you are? Somewhere between evening and sleep, time starts to feel different. Whether it's midnight in London or dawn in another part of the world, this moment belongs to quiet. So breathe softly, let your shoulders drop, and allow the stillness to do its work. If you'd like, you can imagine the fire nearby, steady and patient, giving warmth by the will of the Almighty. Its glow will stay with you as we begin our walk through history. The Tower of London stands beside the River Thames like a sentinel of memory. By day, it's filled with visitors, guides, and laughter echoing through its courtyards. But by night, it becomes something else entirely, a place of still air and steady calm. The stone walls seem to exhale as the world around them falls silent. Each breath of wind carries the scent of the river, the iron of the gates, and the faint sweetness of worn oak doors. If you listen closely, you might almost hear the slow heartbeat of the place, pulsing beneath the stone. The tower has stood for centuries, not in defiance of time, but through quiet cooperation with it. Tonight, we listen to that patience, step by step. Lanterns once burned low here, their flames trembling gently behind glass. The guards of the night shift moved without haste, their boots soft against the cobblestones. They did not speak much, there was no need. The tower had its own language, a hush between footsteps, a whisper of metal against fabric, the rhythmic wash of the Thames below. Each small sound belonged to the place, part of a pattern that comforted more than it disturbed. When the final visitor left and the gates closed, the silence wasn't empty, it was purposeful. It was the tower remembering what it was built for: protection, endurance, and calm. Palan Saja, we're still here. You can picture it. Now the pale moonlight spreading across the courtyard, brushing the tops of ancient stones. Every surface glows faintly, neither bright nor dark, just balanced. Somewhere, a raven stirs its wings, its feathers catching the silver light. The tower's walls, built by hands long gone, hold the warmth of the day deep within them, releasing it slowly into the cool night air. It feels almost alive, but not in the way people imagine ghosts. Rather, it breathes through temperature, through stillness, through the quiet rhythm of night. The Almighty allows even these stones to serve their purpose, to stand, to shelter, to remind us of endurance. When the guards make their rounds, their path loops through arches and stairways that echo faintly. Each corridor leads to another, like a labyrinth of time. The tower at night doesn't feel haunted, feels attentive. The air listens. The walls seem to lean inward, as if curious about every footstep. The men walking there knew this sensation well. They trusted it, even found comfort in it. Routine becomes prayer in such places, each step measured, each glance deliberate, each pause meaningful. The tower, in its silence, teaches how to move slowly, how to observe, and how to remain steady. The fire still burns softly. Stay warm, stay calm. If you close your eyes, you might imagine standing at the tower's gate. The wood beneath your palm feels cool, the iron bolts solid. Beyond it, the world sleeps. Behind it, a world continues quietly, unchanged by noise or time. The air carries the low hum of the river's current. You can sense the depth of years around you, not through stories of kings or battles, but through presence. Everything here holds the weight of care. Every beam, every hinge, every stone placed by hands that worked with patience. What they built was meant to last, not as a monument to pride, but as a duty fulfilled. There are moments when the tower feels aware of the night itself. The way the fog drifts across the courtyard, the way the lantern light bends along the wall. It does not move quickly. It glides, settling into corners like a sigh. If you were to walk there now, you would not hear your own footsteps for long. They would merge with the sounds already living in the air. This is the kind of quiet that carries peace, not emptiness. It draws the mind toward rest, allowing thoughts to soften, to slow, to drift. Plan Saja, we're still in the tower, and everything is still all right. By the river, the sound changes. The current brushes softly against the wall, steady as breath. That sound becomes the tower's heartbeat during the night, slow, continuous, forgiving. It has listened to this same rhythm for centuries. To those who guard it, it's as familiar as their own pulse. The tower stands not as a memory of power, but as a monument to persistence, the gentle kind, shaped not by conquest, but by care. The walls do not claim greatness. They serve quietly, with dignity given by their maker, and in their silence, they teach those who pass through to do the same. In the upper towers, the air grows cooler. The stones there hold a different kind of quieter, higher, thinner silence, touched by the wind. Looking out over the river, the city lights shimmer faintly through the fog, and the world feels far away. The guards who once stood watch here would have seen the same view: light upon water, shadow upon stone, peace in distance. Their duty was not only to watch for threat, but to understand stillness. The night gave them time to think, to remember, to be grateful for another uneventful hour. That kind of gratitude still lingers in the walls. It hums softly, like memory held in place by care. If you listen long enough, you'll notice that even the silence has layers. The tower's quiet isn't one sound, it's many. The creak of old wood, the whisper of wind through a narrow slit, the distant drip of rain. Each part moves gently with the others, creating harmony out of age and endurance. This is not the kind of quiet that demands attention. It's the kind that welcomes rest. It invites the mind to slow its pace, to breathe in rhythm with the stone and the river. The Tower of London, at night, becomes not a fortress, but a lullaby, steady, slow, and sure. As midnight deepens, the tower feels suspended between breath and stillness. The walls no longer glow, they rest. The moon hangs low over the Thames, turning the water to brushed silver. Even the air seems to move slower, as if listening. The guards, moving along their familiar paths, are part of the rhythm now. Steps, pause, silence, breath. There is no rush, no tension, only calm duty. They know this quiet as an old friend. The tower rewards attention with peace. It always has. And in that peace, thoughts loosen, the body settles, the mind drifts. The fire is still warm, its glow soft and steady. Stay close to it. The night is kind. Within the tower's heart, the stairways twist upward, worn smooth by centuries of motion. Each step dips slightly in the middle, shaped by countless feet. The walls lean close, cool and protective, as though the stone itself were guiding the traveler. The higher you climb, the quieter it becomes, until only your breath remains. The air grows thinner, lighter, filled with the faint scent of metal and dust. Up here, the world outside feels distant, The tower's strength feels personal, gentle, rather than grand. Its silence is not heavy, it's healing. It reminds you that stillness is not emptiness, it's the space that allows everything else to rest. Sometimes, a raven's low call breaks the silence. Its voice carries across the courtyard, deep and slow. The birds who live here have seen everything: storms, sunrises, and all the years between. They are as much a part of the tower as the stone itself. Their wings stir the air, reminding it to move again. The guards look up, but do not startle. They've learned that such sounds belong here. The tower, too, seems to listen, welcoming the company. In that small exchange between stone, bird, and breath, the place feels complete. The night continues, the air cools, the world outside fades further away. There is a chamber near the center of the fortress where the sound behaves differently. Every whisper lingers longer, every step returns softly from the walls. It's as though the space collects echoes just to keep them safe. Guards walking through often pause, speaking quietly without knowing why. The tower seems to ask for gentleness. Its calm spreads without effort, steadying even the busiest thoughts. To walk here is to remember that not everything requires speed or sound. There is wisdom in waiting, in silence, in work done quietly and well. Pelan Sajja, we're still here, still safe within the walls, still drifting through history's breath. Beyond the courtyard, where the tower meets the river, mist begins to form again. It rises slowly from the water, rolling in like a living thing, soft and white. It curls around the stones and climbs the battlements until the walls seem to vanish into air. The tower doesn't resist it. It lets the fog pass through its arches and settle where it will. The sound of the water beneath becomes muffled, as though wrapped in cloth. It's a silence within silence, a softening of every edge. The guards know this moment. Well, it means the night has reached its quietest point, when time itself seems to pause. Inside, the lanterns grow dimmer. Their light has turned from gold to amber, then to soft grey. The tower adjusts again. Each shadow lengthens until walls, floor, and ceiling blend together. This is the tower's truest form, not in sunlight, not in grandeur, but in near darkness, when all distractions are gone. It stands as it has for ages, patient and aware. The night, guided by the will of the Almighty, passes gently through it. There is no fear here, only calm, only the sound of the river, the slow beat of air, and the distant breath of the world turning quietly beyond its gates. Those who have walked its halls at this hour often describe a sense of being watched not by people, but by the place itself. The tower feels present, not alive, but attentive. Its weight and warmth surround you, not as burden, but as reassurance. The air moves lightly across your skin. The stone beneath your hand feels solid, steady, unchanging in purpose. You realize then that everything here has been cared for by builders, by guards, by the quiet order of time itself. What lasts through care, not force. The tower's calm becomes your own. Your breathing slows to match its rhythm. You feel at peace. When the wind rises again, it carries the scent of the river into every room. It smells faintly of water and earth, untuned, but clean. The tower receives it like an old friend. The same wind that brushed these walls centuries ago returns tonight, renewed. It moves through windows, across stairways, around corners. Each gust carries away a trace of dust, leaving the air clear again. The tower accepts this as part of its nightly renewal. Nothing resists. Everything moves gently, in balance. It is a reminder that strength and softness are not opposites. They are partners, each completing the other. The guards, near the end of their watch, rest briefly by the inner gate. Their torches burn low, and their armor gleams faintly in the dim light. They speak in low voices, words carried away by the wind. There's no tension, no urgency, only the understanding that night is doing what night must do. The tower stands above them, steady and kind, holding their silence. In the distance, the river continues its patient rhythm, touching the stones like a quiet lullaby. For those few minutes, the world feels whole again, balanced between work and rest, sound and quiet, stone and water. And as the first pale threads of dawn begin to rise, the tower prepares to greet another day. The light touches its highest walls first, turning grey to gold, shadow to warmth. The night withdraws gently, without regret. The tower remains, as it always has, faithful to its duty to endure, to shelter, to witness. The guards lift their eyes toward the new morning, their work complete. The river shines beside them, calm and endless in its motion. The air softens, and the silence deepens one last time before dissolving into day. The fire fades now, but its warmth stays with you. Rest, and let the tower's calm carry you to sleep. When morning light first touches the tower, it seems to wake the walls rather than the people. The sun glides slowly over the stone, revealing the fine texture left by countless hands. These are not flawless walls, they are living records. Every groove, every faint chip, every patch of mortar carries a trace of time. The builders who once shaped them did not seek glory, they sought endurance. Their work was meant to serve, not to shine. In the hush of early day, the stones seemed to absorb the warmth of light, as though remembering something familiar. You can almost sense the stillness hum quietly in gratitude for the renewal that dawn brings. The tower's strength does not lie in what it defends, but in what it remembers, the steady labor of patience, the rhythm of effort repeated, and the peace that follows when purpose is fulfilled. There's a strange softness to the tower in daylight. The walls that seemed watchful by night now appear almost gentle, their grey tones shifting toward pale gold. The air feels different, to cool, yet full of promise. Those who walk within its courtyards sense how deeply the tower breathes with the rhythm of the world around it. No structure survives this long by chance. It stands through care, through the balance between strength and humility. The Almighty allows stone to hold its shape for centuries, but it is human patience that preserves its meaning. The guards, the caretakers, the quiet observers leave something behind. Their footsteps, their thoughts, their watchful silence. The tower gathers these things without judgment, storing them within its calm. The result is not weight, but memory, a texture built from centuries of duty. Pelan Satya, we're still here, listening to the stones remember. Inside the oldest walls, light filters through narrow slits carved for archers long gone. Dust floats through it like slow snow, shimmering in the quiet air. The scent of stone and wood mingles with the faint chill of the river. These walls have known countless seasons, frost and sunlight, all shaping them gently over time. The changes are small but constant, written in the color and surface of each block. The stones remember not through sound, but through endurance. Their patience is their language. The builders carved their work with steady hands, trusting that their effort would last beyond sight or name, and it has. Even now, every wall stands as proof that care endures longer than pride. The tower's silence speaks in rhythm with the river, both of them continuing not through force, but through calm faithfulness to their purpose. If you listen closely, the stones almost seem to hum. It isn't sound exactly, it's a feeling, a vibration that travels through your feet when you stand still long enough. Some say it's the echo of footsteps, others say it's the memory of wind pressing against the walls. Whatever it is, it feels alive in a quiet, steady way. The tower does not speak of power, it speaks of time. Every mark, every repair, every replaced stone adds another voice to its silent chorus. This is what history sounds like when you remove the noise, patient, balanced, complete. The stones do not envy what came before, nor fear what will come next. They simply remain, shaped by care and purpose. The warmth from the morning sun spreads across them now, and they hold it gently, releasing it back into the air like a slow, forgiving breath. The guards who work here often speak of the tower as if it listens. They say when you stand quietly near the walls, the air feels thicker, like someone is paying attention. It isn't superstition. It's the awareness that comes from being surrounded by something built entirely for focus and endurance. Every part of the tower was made for function, each line, each opening, each curve meant to protect or preserve. But over time, that function has turned into feeling. The structure itself carries an awareness of its purpose. When you move through it, you can sense the discipline of its design. It invites steadiness. The guards learn to slow their steps, to breathe with the rhythm of the space. In doing so, they become part of the tower's long story, walking beside the memories the stones have gathered through the centuries. Sometimes, sunlight finds the oldest carvings, small initials or markings left by unknown builders. They are faint now, worn down by the passing of time. Yet when light touches them, they seem to glow softly, as though remembered for a moment. These marks are not decoration, they are signatures of human care. Each was made quietly, not for recognition, but as proof of effort. The tower keeps them like treasured details and spoken acknowledgments of those whose labor shaped it. To trace them with your eyes is to read a history that never made it to books. It's the story of craft, patience, and persistence. The people who made these walls are gone, but their honesty remains, pressed into stone. What they built still fulfills its purpose. What they touched still stands, and through that simple endurance, the tower remembers them kindly, without words, without judgment, only through presence. Deeper inside, where sunlight rarely reaches, the stones stay cool. They feel ancient, even though they have been cleaned and repaired many times. Their color changes slightly from layer to layer, showing where history was patched and strengthened. Each restoration tells a story, to one of respect for what came before. The tower has never pretended to be perfect. It wears its mended places proudly. The cracks are part of its strength. When builders repair a wall here, they work slowly, making sure new mortar blends gently with the old. Nothing is rushed. The rhythm of tools echoes softly through the corridors like heartbeats in stone. This care is what keeps the tower standing. It is not the hardness of rock that preserves it, but the attention given to every inch, every repair made with intention, as if honoring the patience of those who first raised it. Near the white tower, the morning light reaches the cobblestones in the courtyard. The warmth spreads upward, brushing the walls like an invisible hand. For a brief moment, everything glows: the ground, the windows, even the iron gates. The tower doesn't shine, it reflects. It accepts light the way it accepts time, with humility. Those who pass through this place can feel that softness. The air grows lighter, the noise of the world fades, and only the steady calm remains. The stones seem to breathe together, holding warmth from above and coolness from below. It's a balance built into every layer of the structure. The result is a harmony between nature and creation, a reminder that what lasts is not what resists the world, but what learns to live with it gently, following the rhythm allowed by the one who sustains all things. As noon approaches, the tower grows quiet again, its early visitors gone. The stones seem to rest, content with what the morning has given. Shadows fall across the walls like slow-moving rivers, marking time without hurry. The air carries the faint scent of metal, dust, and river wind. Every part of the tower feels alive in stillness. The hum of history fills the space without speaking. To sit here, even in imagination, is to feel that peace. The tower's memory is not one of noise or battle, it is one of care, of the endless cycle of watching, mending, and standing. The stones that remember do not judge the world they've witnessed. They simply continue, offering their quiet endurance as a form of devotion to their purpose. And through that devotion, they teach a simple truth: calmness itself can be an act of strength. Later, when the sun begins to lower, the tower's light shifts again. The walls, once gold, turn grey-blue, and the courtyard cools. The stones seem to change expression, not melancholy, just thoughtful. The day begins to fold into evening. The guards pass through the archways once more, their shadows long and soft. The tower prepares for another night, another round of quiet duty. The warmth it gathered through the day will last until dawn, stored deep within its walls. It will keep the chill at bay for those who walk through. Even now, the air feels slower, as if it knows rest is near. The tower's stones, bathed in fading light, seem to whisper a single message to anyone who listens closely. That time moves on, but peace can be found in its rhythm. The fire is still glowing. Stay close. As the afternoon light begins to fade, the tower's stones shift once again, trading warmth for coolness. The walls, touched all day by sun, release their stored heat slowly into the air. The courtyard grows softer in color, gold turning to ash gray, then to quiet blue. The sound of the river deepens, matching the slower rhythm of the evening wind. The tower adjusts to it easily, as if it has done this forever. Those who walk here at this hour feel the transition, the gentle hush that comes before dusk. It's not sadness, it's rest. The stones seem to exhale after a long day of holding the world's noise. They've heard every voice, every step, every breath, and now they welcome silence again. In that stillness, the tower remembers not what has happened, but what it was built to do, to endure through calm by the will of the Almighty. The sun lowers, and shadows climb the walls in slow motion. Every corner, every stairway, every window finds its own shade. The guards, moving through their evening rounds, light the lanterns one by one. Each flame trembles softly, reflected in the damp stones. The tower does not resist the dark. It embraces it. This is the time when it begins to listen, again truly listen. The sounds of the city fade away, replaced by the hush of wind brushing against iron. The stones, cool and patient, seem to gather the night around them like a cloak. The tower's memory deepens here. Each wall, each arch, each gate becomes a vessel for quiet, storing the lessons of endurance, service, and stillness. The air grows heavier, slower, more reflective. Plan Saja. The day is ending, but we're still here, watching the light retreat with peace. When the last sunlight disappears beyond the rooftops, the tower's presence feels stronger. The lack of brightness doesn't make it vanish, it makes it clearer. You can sense its calm weight even in the darkness. The walls stand steady, shaped by time but never rushed by it. The guards walking near the river hear the slow lap of the tide returning. It's as if the water greets the tower each night, reminding it that both stone and currents share the same patience. Nothing here is hurried. Nothing needs to be. The air between them feels ancient, yet tender. The tower does not look to the past. It carries it quietly. What was built with care continues to serve through care. What was shaped by patience continues to teach patience. The stones, in their silence, offer that same gift to those who stop long enough to listen. In the deepest chambers, far from the outer light, the tower's stones hold cold air close. It's a living kind of coolness, not empty or harsh, just steady. Here, the breath of the building can almost be felt, slow and quiet, pulsing with history. This is where time thickens. The air smells of earth, dust, and faint traces of metal. If you stand here long enough, you begin to feel smaller, not from fear, but from understanding. You realize that everything we build, every wall, every shelter, every promise, belongs to a greater rhythm. The tower's builders understood that. Their craft was their devotion, their patience, their offering. And because of that, what they made continues to serve with humility. The tower, in its silence, honors that devotion still, standing not as a relic, but as a living reminder that quiet endurance is a kind of strength, too. Above, the wind drifts through the narrow windows, bringing the scent of the river into the halls. It moves softly, carrying the chill of night and the promise of calm. The air wraps around the stone like a familiar companion. You can hear it moving if you listen, the faint hum that weaves through every arch and corridor. The tower seems to breathe with it. It's not alive, but it responds. Just as trees bend to wind and water flows to the sea, each gust shapes the air slightly, polishing the surface of time. The sound settles into the rhythm of the place, blending with the steady footsteps of the guards. In these small repetitions, wind step, echo, the tower finds harmony. It's the same balance that has kept it standing, neither resisting the world nor surrendering to it, only moving with grace through both. The guards pause in the courtyard, their lanterns glowing softly in the mist. They look up at the tower's highest walls, now touched by the faint silver of the moon. There's a sense of calm respect among them. They know the tower not as a legend, but as a companion of their labor, solid, constant, protective. Their watch is part of the same long chain that began centuries ago. Each night they add to its story without knowing it, their quiet presence joining the history written not in ink, but in footsteps and breath. The tower holds it all, not as burden, but as purpose. Its silence is not empty, it's filled with these moments of devotion. And so, as the night deepens, the guards walk on, their light blending with the stars above and the faint shimmer of the river below. By midnight, the stones have cooled completely. Their surface feels smooth under the hand, like water turned to solid form. The air presses gently against them, and they hold it in balance, neither cold nor warm, only even. The tower seems to rest in perfect symmetry with the world around it. The sound of the river fades into background hum, the lanterns burn low, and the walls reflect a quiet strength that no voice could name. This stillness is not absent-side's fullness. It is the moment when everything unnecessary has fallen away, and only purpose remains. The tower exists within that space, where patience becomes peace. And for those who find themselves awake within its presence, there is comfort in knowing that even stone can feel at ease when the night is calm. The fire is still glowing. Let it keep you warm. Somewhere in the upper chambers, a faint drip of water marks time. It falls rhythmically, precise, and constant. The sound seems to echo forever before fading into the walls. It's a small reminder that time continues even when it feels paused. The tower does not resist this truth, it welcomes it. Each second, each drop, becomes part of its quiet music. To listen here is to understand how vast and delicate the passage of time can be. The stones hold centuries, yet the moment still feels new. This balance between what was and what is defines the tower's peace. It is not timeless, for nothing in creation lasts without the permission of its creator, but it is faithful. It endures through obedience to its purpose, through stillness that reflects order, through calm that invites reflection. The tower's whisper is not about age, but about acceptance. Near dawn, the tower grows pale again. The walls, which seemed dark as ink through the night, begin to glow faintly in the first light. The mist thins, and the river brightens. Every surface shines with a thin film of dew, tiny droplets that glint before vanishing. The stones, cool and awake, release the last of the night's stillness into the air. It spreads gently, like a sigh. The guards change their posts. The world stirs beyond the gate. The tower has finished another night of quiet work, no sound, no movement, only calm preservation. Its memory grows not by holding on, but by continuing. The morning light touches the highest battlement, and once more the tower's purpose is renewed, to stand, to protect, to endure not forever, but for as long as it is meant to serve. The fire's glow dims now, but peace remains. Pelan Saja. Morning is near, and as the sun finally clears the horizon, the tower greets it not with pride, but with stillness. Its stones shine softly, their surfaces warm again after the long night. The river below mirrors their glow, rippling gently toward the day. What was dark is now bright, what was silent now hums with waking life. Yet within its heart, the tower keeps its peace. The memory of the night lingers, a calm weight, a rhythm of breath, a patience earned through centuries of care. The walls stand as they always have, not untouched by time, but guided through it. The tower remembers, and in its remembering, it teaches that all things made with intention will find balance when tended with care. The light grows stronger now, the world awakens, but within these walls, the hush remains, a quiet reminder that endurance, too, can be gentle. The tower's pathways twist like threads of memory. By daylight, they fill with voices, laughter, and footsteps from visitors who marvel at its age. But by night, they become narrow rivers of quiet. The air thickens, every sound slows. The walls on either side seem to close in, not in menace, but in intimacy. Here, the tower reveals its truest self, not the grand fortress, not the monument, but the quiet keeper of passage. The pathways connect every tower, every courtyard, every cell, forming a network of patience carved from stone. To walk through them at night is to step through time itself, following routes traced by countless feet before you. Nothing changes, and yet everything feels alive. The tower's silence becomes a guide, showing that movement, even slow and steady, can carry more peace than stillness itself. The night welcomes you. Plant Saja, we're still here. The stone floors are uneven beneath each step. Some dip where centuries of boots have worn them smooth, others rise slightly where repairs filled the gaps. Every imperfection is a record of care. The tower has never been polished into perfection, it has been maintained through humility. The pathway underfoot hums faintly with echo, carrying the soft sound of your steps forward. The air smells faintly of dust and old wood. Somewhere nearby, a lantern flickers, painting light across the curve of an arch. The glow moves slowly, following the pace of breath. The tower seems to understand that calm comes not from silence alone, but from rhythm. Every shift in light and sound has a place here, measured and balanced. Each corridor feels like a heartbeat slowed for the night, guiding anyone who walks here toward stillness without ever demanding it. In the deeper corridors, where the walls grow narrow and the ceiling lowers, the tower's quiet feels almost like presence. The sound of the river fades, replaced by something gentler, the soft murmur of air moving through stone. It feels like breathing, slow and even. Those who once walked these paths would have known this rhythm well. Guards, messengers, caretakers, all passed through, each leaving behind their own measure of calm. The tower remembers through motion. The worn curves of the walls seem to lean inwards, embracing each new traveler with familiarity. You can imagine the touch of countless hands brushing these same stones, steadying themselves in darkness, trusting the building's shape to lead them forward. In this shared space of patience, the tower teaches a quiet lesson that comfort does not always come from knowing where you're going, but from trusting the ground beneath your feet. The stairways rise and fall like gentle waves. Each step is carved unevenly, some shallow, others deep, built for strong feet and steady minds. The air cools as you climb, the faint scent of iron drifting from the handrails polished by centuries of touch. Higher up, the light from the lanterns softens to gold, reflected by the smooth plaster walls. Shadows stretch along each curve, slow and deliberate, moving like the hands of a clock that keeps its own quiet time. The tower's architecture was never meant to impress, it was meant to endure. Each turn of the stair reminds you of that purpose. The builders worked not for beauty, but for balance, and that balance still holds. The tower's pathways carry those who respect their pace. You cannot rush here. The walls themselves seem to ask for patience, and in return, they offer peace. There's a corner near the upper walkway where sound disappears entirely. Step into it, and even your breath feels different, thicker, quieter, almost sacred. The stone here is darker, denser, holding centuries of weight without strain. No one speaks in this place. They never have. The tower's silence here feels intentional, as if this small space was designed to rest the mind. The guards know it well. They often stop here for a heartbeat before continuing their rounds. It is not superstition, it's gratitude. The tower allows rest in its own way, through stillness, given freely. To stand there, surrounded by shadow and cool air, is to understand how silence can be generous. It gives you back your thoughts, cleansed of noise. The world outside may be fast, uncertain, loud, but in this corridor, time slows to something gentle, manageable, kind. Beyond that quiet space, the corridor widens. A small window, cut deep into the stone, frames the river below. Moonlight spills through it, stretching a pale stripe across the floor. Dust floats lazily in the beam, moving like tiny stars. The air feels lighter here, refreshed by the night breeze. It carries the scent of damp stone and distant water. The tower's builders may never have intended this view to be beautiful, yet it is. Simple, calm, unchanging. The light falls exactly where it needs to, showing the shape of each stone with precision and grace. Sometimes, beauty is not created. It happens naturally when things are made with care. The tower, like the river beside it, reflects the balance between function and serenity. Both exist to serve, and in doing so, they create peace. The fire is still glowing somewhere behind you. Keep walking slowly. The pathways near the inner ward carry a different sound, the faint creak of wood, the whisper of fabric as guards pass. The tower does not echo loudly. It swallows noise, turning it soft before returning it. Every sound here feels intentional, like a note in a quiet song. The walls are close, yet not confining. They seem to guide rather than restrict. Every turn feels familiar, even if you've never walked it before. This is how the tower remembers its people, not through names, but through repetition. The guards who serve here today step where others once stood, continuing a rhythm centuries in the making. The tower doesn't change the world, it mirrors it, showing that stability can be found in the simplest acts done faithfully. A turn of a key, a check of a lock, a breath, a step. Calm is built this way, quietly, one task at a time. Deeper in, a faint light glows behind a half-open door. Inside, a lantern rests on an old table, its flame steady but small. The room is empty, except for the faint warmth of human presence left behind. Perhaps someone paused here moments ago, resting their hands, gathering their thoughts. The tower holds these traces like memories, gentle, wordless, without ownership. Every touch, every breath leaves something behind, and the building accepts it all without judgment. The air feels still, yet alive with what has been. You can feel the peace that remains after effort, the echo of calm labor that fills spaces long after people leave them. The tower keeps that peace and gives it back to those who need it. This is its quiet gift, a lesson shared not through words, but through endurance, shaped by the patience of many generations. Sometimes, when the night deepens, the pathways glow faintly in the lantern light, and it feels as though the tower itself is watching over those who walk it, not as a guardian, but as a companion. Its silence is reassuring, like the steady breathing of something at rest. You can almost hear the rhythm beneath the stillness, the slow exchange between stone and air, between shadow and flame. The tower asks for nothing in return. It simply continues, night after night, season after season, guided by the order placed upon it. This is how peace endures, not through force, but through quiet constancy. In the glow of the fire, in the slow movement of air, the tower's calm becomes your own. Every step you take now feels lighter, as though the building itself carries part of the weight for you. Palon Saja. The night is steady. At last, the corridor opens into the courtyard. The air shifts again, colder now, but cleaner. The faint scent of grass mixes with stone and mist. The sky above is a deep shade of blue, with just a hint of silver where the moonlight touches the tower's highest edges. The guards move quietly, their lanterns bobbing like small stars. The world feels far away, unreachable, and safe. The tower stands not as a reminder of fear, but as a keeper of calm. Every wall, every pathway, every stair has done its work, guiding movement, shaping silence, protecting peace. The tower needs no words, no grandeur. It fulfills its purpose simply by being. The night exhales. The fire flickers softly in your memory. The river hums. Everything, for now, is in balance. Then the tower, through its silent pathways, continues its quiet watch. As the night deepens, the tower's pathways grow quieter than ever. The footsteps of the guards are fewer now, spread apart by long pauses of stillness. The sound of the river outside fades into a distant hum, leaving only the soft echo of air moving through the archways. The tower seems to be breathing slower, matching the calm of those who keep watch within it. The stones, once warm from the day, now hold the cool touch of the night. You can feel it if you imagine your hand resting on their surface, smooth, firm, neither cold nor warm, just steady. The tower's silence carries a kind of mercy in it. It gives permission to rest, to slow down, to simply exist without rush. The fire is still glowing, somewhere deep within memory, steady as the heart of the night itself. In one corridor, the faint glow of a lantern flickers, sending soft ripples of light across the walls. Shadows shift in gentle rhythm, like waves rolling against the shore. This place feels endless, though you know it has an end. The tower's paths loop and wind until they meet again, circling themselves like thought finding peace. The echo of your steps fades more quickly here, as though the air is absorbing every sound to keep the quiet whole. The tower does not need to sleep, simply remains. Its calm never breaks, its purpose never drifts. Each turn of the path feels deliberate, each step a reminder that patience can be learned even from stone. Somewhere beyond, the river breathes softly, and its rhythm matches your own Pellin's arja. We're still here, moving gently through time, along the western wall, where the corridors grow narrow again. The stones are marked by faint lines, places where past repairs meet the older work. The difference is visible but harmonious. Old and new hold each other carefully, neither overwhelming the other. The tower's history is written in these seams. It reminds you that endurance isn't about being untouched. It's about being tended to with care. Each patch, each repair, each smoothened edge tells a story of preservation through effort. Even the smallest crack has been seen and mended by human hands, guided by patience. The building owes its strength to that steady care. The tower is not proud, it is grateful, and perhaps that is why it endures, because gratitude, like stone, can carry weight without breaking. The air here feels warmer somehow, as if touched by the memory of every act of kindness performed within it. A faint mist drifts in through one of the open archways. It curls low along the floor, soft and silent. The lantern light catches it, turning it into a pale shimmer that moves like breath. The tower accepts it without protest, allowing it to wander through halls and stairways. The mist becomes part of the building's rhythm, filling the empty air with its quiet grace. In this moment, the tower feels more alive than ever, not through motion, but through stillness that listens. The guards who pass by barely notice it. To them, this is part of the night's familiar language. For centuries, the tower has learned how to coexist with the river's fog, the wind's whisper, and the steady turn of the moon. Every night is a repetition of peace, a pattern that comforts the stones themselves. The mist glides onward, patient as the walls that cradle it. The inner courtyard lies silent now. The lanterns by the gate burn low, their flames small but determined. The cobblestones glisten faintly from the mist, and the air hums with the low vibration of stillness. The tower watches without moving. Nothing about this moment feels empty. It feels full, as though every sound and breath has settled into perfect balance. The quiet holds weight, the kind that comforts rather than presses. In this stillness, you begin to sense how peace is built not from silence alone, but from things coexisting gently. Stone beside air, light beside shadow, sound beside its echo. The tower holds all of them equally, and through that balance, it endures. The night remains calm. The fire that began in the first story still glows faintly behind your eyes, steady and kind. The tower keeps its promise of quiet. There's a stairway that leads downward, spiraling deep beneath the ground. The steps are damp, and the air smells faintly of earth and water. Down here, the tower's sound changes again. The echoes linger longer, and each drop of water falling from above becomes a note in the slow rhythm of the place. This is where the oldest stones rest the foundations. They do not see the sun or feel the wind, but their patience holds the entire structure above. These stones have no voice, yet they are the most faithful of all. They remind you that what supports the world rarely asks to be seen. The tower's strength begins in silence, deep below the surface, where time moves slower and purpose remains pure. In this hidden depth, the tower teaches its clearest lesson, that peace grows strongest where no one is watching. The air grows warmer again as you climb back up toward the courtyard. The sound of the river returns, faint but steady, and the scent of the open sky drifts through the doorway. It feels like waking from a dream, slow and calm. The tower doesn't change, yet the world around it begins to stir. The fog thins, the lantern light grows dimmer, and a faint grey blush begins to touch the walls. The guards make their final rounds in silence, their armor glinting like fading stars. Each step they take is part of a centuries-old rhythm, the passing of night into morning. The tower knows this cycle well. It does not rush the dawn. It allows it to come the way it allows everything else, with quiet grace. The fire is still there, now dim but warm, waiting to rest with the sun. At the upper windows, the faintest light begins to show. The tower's pathways soften under its touch. The stones gleam with a thin layer of dew, and the air grows clear. The mist that once wrapped the corridors now escapes upward, disappearing into the morning sky. The guards at the gate pause to look at it, breathing in the freshness of another day beginning. Nothing dramatic happens, no noise, no fanfare, just the simple exchange of night for light. The tower accepts it like an old ritual, something done countless times before. Its pathways, still cool and damp, will warm again soon under the day's sun. The peace that filled them through the night lingers in their surfaces, waiting for evening to return. The tower has learned to keep calm as others would keep treasure quietly, faithfully, for those who need it most. As dawn strengthens, the tower's silence begins to lift. Birds start to call from the battlements, their voices echoing gently off the walls. The air moves again, light and alive. The pathways, once hidden in shadow, reveal their shapes in soft gold. You can almost see the footprints of the night fading, replaced by the promise of another cycle beginning. The tower never clings to what has passed. It simply absorbs it, turns it into memory, and continues. This is its wisdom, that peace is not permanent, but renewable. Each night brings calm, each morning gives it back to the world. The tower breathes through these rhythms, teaching quietly what words cannot. As you imagine the warmth of the rising light touching the stones, you might feel your own thoughts grow slower, lighter, easier. Palan Saija, we're still here, and morning is kind. By the time the sun reaches the highest tower, the night's stillness has fully dissolved into day. The pathways no longer hum, they glow. Every shadow has softened into warmth. The guards exchange nods as their watch ends, and the sound of daily life begins again. The tower stands unchanged, yet renewed, its calm folded neatly into the day ahead. The silence it held all night lingers in the air, invisible but present, like the last trace of fire before the embers fade. The pathways, once veiled in mystery, are open again for footsteps, laughter, and light. And though the world outside moves forward, the tower keeps its rhythm. It will listen again when evening falls. It will breathe again when darkness returns. The lesson remains the same. That calm is not found in stopping, but in continuing quietly, patiently, through every hour that comes. The Thames never truly sleeps. Even when the city above it grows silent, the river keeps its slow conversation with the night. Beside it, the tower listens. The two have shared this space for nearly 1,000 years, stone and water, stillness and motion. The sound of the river becomes the tower's own breath, low and even, flowing through the arches at its base. In the still air, the rhythm feels ancient, familiar. The guards who walk the wall can hear it below, a steady hush, a promise of continuity. The river does not rush, it murmurs. Its movement is calm, patient, eternal only by the permission of the Almighty. Together, the tower and the Thames exist in balance, one shaped by strength, the other by flow. Both endure through surrender, not resistance. Their meeting forms a single, quiet heartbeat that has echoed through centuries of peace and purpose. At night, the riverlight glows faintly against the tower's stones. The moon reflects on the slow-moving water, breaking into ripples of silver that dance across the walls. The air smells faintly of salt and iron. It's the scent of the river's breath as it moves past the city's heart. The tower's builders understood this relationship. They built close to the water so it could nourish and protect. Each tide that brushed the wall cleaned and cooled it, the movement serving as both guardian and witness. The Almighty gives even water its purpose, and the Thames fulfills it quietly. Its rhythm keeps the tower alive in its own way, feeding sound into silence and motion into stillness. When the wind passes across its surface, it carries a voice that seems almost human, sigh, perhaps, of calm endurance. The tower hears it, and, in its own way, answers. Sometimes the river rises higher than expected, brushing against the stones as though reminding them of its power. But it never strikes, it embraces. The water curls gently along the base of the tower, tracing patterns of foam and reflection. To those awake at night, it feels as if the tower and the river speak to each other in soft tones. The water hums, and the walls reply with echoes of low resonance. It's a dialogue that has continued through storms, droughts, and calm nights like this one. The river never stops moving. The tower never stops standing. Both understand the rhythm of patience. Their coexistence is not competition, but harmony. It's complementing what the other lacks. Where the river flows freely, the tower roots deeply. Where the tower guards, the river carries. Together, they remind the city that balance is not found in stillness alone, but in the shared rhythm of motion and rest. When the moon is high, the river becomes a mirror. It reflects the tower's silhouette, perfectly tall, quiet, unwavering. For a few moments, the water seems to hold its breath. The reflection trembles gently, then settles. The two images, stone and shadow, become one. The scene feels eternal, yet humble. No noise, no audience, just the meeting of light and structure. The Almighty allows this harmony to exist in simplicity. Those who pass by in the night rarely notice, but if they did, they would see peace written across the surface of the water. It's the peace that comes when strength accepts movement, when the unchanging learns from the ever-changing. The tower's builders could never have imagined that their creation would one day be mirrored like this, softened by moonlight, remembered not for defense, but for its calm presence beside the flowing water. The river carries the memory forward, endlessly patient. The wind from the Thames drifts through the tower's archways. It carries coolness, the scent of wet stone, and the faint hum of distant ripples. The walls, warmed by daylight, receive it gently. The air passes through corridors and stairwells, turning the silence into a slow-moving current of sound. The tower breathes through this motion, it does not resist it. Every draft that slips through cracks and windows becomes part of the rhythm that keeps the place alive. The builders may not have known how sound would move through their work, but the result is a kind of music, quiet, continuous, and honest. The tower listens as the wind brings messages from far upstream. The sound of passing boats, the rustle of reeds, the distant hum of life beyond the city walls. The river speaks softly, and the tower, in its stillness, remembers. Together, they form a prayer without words. In certain seasons, the river grows full and deep, its movement strong enough to shake the edges of the tower's reflection. But even then, the sound remains steady. It never becomes violent, never interrupts the calm. The tower's foundations have long learned to trust this rhythm. The builders laid the lowest stones in firm ground, knowing the river would always move. That wisdom remains visible in every part of the structure, the deep base that holds the upper walls that bend slightly with the breeze. The relationship between water and stone is a lesson in patience. One shapes the other slowly, respectfully. The Almighty has designed both to fulfill their roles without conflict. The river brings change. The tower preserves order. In this quiet partnership, there's no struggle, only understanding. And through that understanding, peace flows constantly, like water over stone. The fire flickers gently in your mind. Stay warm. Guards standing by the river gate often speak of the sound that lulls them to calm. It's not a song, but a pulse, the steady rhythm of tide against stone. When the air is still, the sound becomes the night's heartbeat. Even without light, they can sense the river's presence, the way it glides past unseen, moving with quiet assurance. It has done this every night since the tower's birth. The two have grown old together, one in motion, the other in stillness. To listen to them is to hear history itself at rest. The river has carried trade, war, and whispers of change, yet its voice remains gentle here. The tower, unmoved, reflects that gentleness back. The moment feels timeless, yet humble proof that peace doesn't need to be loud to endure. The sound continues, even when no one is there to listen. The river always breathes. As the night deepens, mist rises once more from the Thames. It creeps across the banks, curling around the tower's base like a soft blanket. The lights from the distant city blur behind it, turning the world into shadow and glow. The tower doesn't vanish within the fog, it becomes part of it. The air thickens and sound softens. The river's surface becomes invisible, yet its voice remains. Each ripple is muted, each movement gentle. It feels as though the entire city is sleeping beneath this calm layer of mist. The tower and the river breathe together, their rhythms aligned. Those who've stood here long enough say this is when peace feels closest, when everything visible disappears, and only sound and air remain. The tower accepts the fog as it does the night, without resistance, without fear. It knows that calm often comes hidden within the quietest hours. The mist grows denser as the tide turns. It rises up to the tower's lower windows, slipping through the bars and drifting across the courtyard. The air feels cool and damp, the kind that clings to skin and clothing, yet it carries no chill of uneasinly, the gentleness of change. The guards light more lanterns, their flames glowing dimly against the haze. The tower's outline softens, edges blurred by the air's silver weight. The river hums below, its sound deeper now, a quiet echo moving through the fog. It's in these moments that the tower seems most connected to the world beyond its walls. Stone and water blend into one rhythm, one slow exhale shared between them. The night, though heavy with mist, feels lighter in spirit. The tower continues to listen, holding the peace that the river offers freely. The tide begins to fall. Slowly, the sound shifts again, the deep, steady wash of water receding along the stones. The air grows lighter, the mist thinning. The moon reflects now in fragments, scattered across the rippling surface. The tower stands quietly, patient as always, letting the change unfold. It does not hold the river back, it allows it to go. That is the secret of endurance, not to resist the flow of time, but to exist within it with grace. The guards listen, recognizing the rhythm that marks the end of night's middle hour. The river continues its journey toward the sea, carrying the reflections of the tower's walls along its path. For a moment, everything feels in balance: earth, water, wind, and the calm of human hands that built this place. The tower exhales softly, and the river carries that breath onward into the dark. By the time the tide has fully turned, the river's voice softens again. It no longer presses against the stones, it brushes them gently, like a farewell. The tower listens, steady and still. The air grows cooler now, the mist lifting in thin veils that drift toward the bridge. A faint shimmer of moonlight touches the water, and for a moment it looks as though the river is carrying silver downstream. The guards pause at the wall, watching the light fade and return. Nothing in this scene demands attention, it simply is. The tower accepts the rhythm without expectation, its purpose unchanged. The river passes by, patient and endless, and the stones beside it remain loyal to their watch. Between them lies the calm understanding that neither needs to conquer the other. One flows, one stands. Together they keep time. Pelen Saja. The night is not over yet. As the hours deepen, the tower and the river fall into complete harmony. Every wave matches the heartbeat of the place. The sound of the water against the stones becomes so regular that it feels a liver pulse shared between creation and craft. The wind joins softly, brushing through the arrow slits and open gates. The air, the water, and the stone create their own quiet symphony, one the city beyond cannot hear. To stand here is to sense something more than history, it's to feel rhythm in its purest form. The tower does not need movement to show life, and the river does not need stillness to show peace. Together, they teach that everything has its time, to stand firm, to flow freely, to listen. The Almighty has placed balance even in such opposites. The river moves onward, but it leaves calm behind, folded gently within the tower's walls. Down by the river gate, the wood glistens with moisture from the night air. The hinges creak softly when the guards check them, not from strain but from age. Each sound adds to the living memory of the place. The tower does not resent its years, it welcomes them. Time has shaped it, just as water shapes stone, gently and continuously. The same breeze that moves the river's surface passes through the courtyard, carrying the faint scent of moss and iron. The air feels alive yet forgiving. Nothing rushes. Even the guards' movements seem part of a larger paternage action, quiet, necessary, complete. The tower does not resist time's mark. It receives it with grace. And perhaps that is why the structure remains so peaceful, not in trying to outlast the world, but in understanding its rhythm and serving within it. The fire still glows somewhere deep, steady as faith itself. The river widens beyond the tower, reflecting the faint light of the city's edges. From here, the walls seem to lean toward the water, as if listening more closely. The two have watched each other's changes for centuries, tides rising and falling, stones weathered and restored. Their partnership is not dramatic. It's quiet, founded on respect. When storms have come, the river has tested the tower's resolve, and every time the tower has yielded just enough to stay whole. The secret is not defiance, it's balance. The river carries, the tower anchors. Both depend on the other's constancy. The Almighty has set this rhythm since the beginning of their bond. Strength shaped by softness, motion steadied by rest. The moon dips lower now, and the water darkens. The night begins to lean toward dawn, and both river and tower seem to sigh together, content in their endless exchange. From the tower's upper walkway, the river looks like a sheet of silk, its surface trembling with faint lines of current. The color has changed from silver to deep gray blue. The guards walking there see their lanterns reflected below, glowing like stars adrift on the tide. The river catches and multiplies each light, carrying it forward. It's a small act of generosity, the way water turns something brief into something far-reaching. The towers, stones, heavy and unmoving, admire this gift. They too give in their own way by standing, by keeping, by enduring. Together they form a pair, one that remembers, one that renews, and in that balance there is peace. The tower looks downward, the river upward. Neither envies the other. They simply coexist, each fulfilling the task written for them, their purpose joined through quiet understanding. The world around them sleeps on, trusting in that calm. As dawn approaches, a faint color creeps along the horizon. The sky lightens from black to blue, then to pale rose. The river responds first, its surface shifts, shimmering faintly with the first touch of morning. The tower remains still, letting the light reach it slowly. The air changes, too colder at first, then softer. The smell of the water sharpens as mist begins to rise again. The guards at the gate can see their breath in the air. It is a quiet exchange, a preparation for day. The tower does not awaken suddenly. It stirs gradually, as though following the river's lead. Their shared patience feels sacred, an unspoken prayer between creation and creator. The fire, long imagined in the quiet night, fades gently now, replaced by the light above the water. The warmth remains within the memory of stone and breath. When the first rays of sunlight touch the river, it glows like glass. The tower's reflection sharpens in its surface, clear and calm. Every detail, the battlements, the archways, the stones worn smooth, peers in perfect stillness. The water holds this image for a moment before it trembles and releases it, carrying the reflection onward. It is a gentle reminder that beauty is not meant to be kept, but to be shared. The tower understands this. What it gives the world is not its image, but its endurance. What the river gives is not its shape, but its movement. Both continue their duties as morning grows brighter. The sun reaches higher, painting the tower in soft gold. The river flows on, unbothered by its constant task. Peace lingers between them like Meester, calm born of obedience, balance, and care. The sound of the city begins to return. Somewhere far off, wheels creak and voices stir, but here, by the water, time still moves, gently. The tower's shadow stretches across the river, long and dark but harmless. The guards watch the light spread, knowing their watch is nearly done. They have seen this moment countless times before, yet it always feels new. The tower glows faintly under the growing light, The stones warmer now, the air easier to breathe. The river accepts the brightness, carrying it along its path toward the sea. Between them, there is no farewell, only continuation. Their connection endures without effort. The night has passed, but its calm remains a memory preserved within the tower's walls and the river-esque steady motion. Palan Saja, we're still here, watching morning arrive with peace. As the sun clears the horizon, the river turns to gold. Its ripples scatter the light in every direction, touching the tower's walls with warmth. The guards lower their lanterns, the flames dim in daylight. The air is full of quiet gratitude. Another night completed, another morning welcomed. The tower stands renewed by the light, but it carries the calm of the dark within it. The river, too, moves with quiet dignity, its purpose unchanged. This is how the world continues, through repetition that feels like peace, through patience that feels like love. The Almighty allows both stillness and motion to serve together, each giving balance to the other. The Tower of London and the Thames remain side by side, unchanged yet always changing, forever exchanging strength and grace. The morning is here now. The fire has gone out, but its warmth lingers in the heart of the stones. And so, the night ends where it began, with quiet breath shared between stone and water. The tower's walls glisten faintly in the light of dawn, the river beside them calm and silver. No noise disturbs their harmony, no crowd gathers to witness. It is enough that they continue, each fulfilling the task they were made for. The tower stands as a keeper of peace. The river flows as a messenger of time. Together, they teach without words that endurance need not be proud and movement need not be loud. The guards turn from the water, walking back into the waking city, while the tower remains faithful as always. The river glides onward, carrying the reflection of its companion with care. Morning settles gently upon them both. The world stirs, but here between the tower and the Thames peace remains steady, as it has through every night before. As dusk returns, the tower exhales once more. The warmth of the day slips away, and the cool of evening settles against its stone. The air feels thicker here at twilight, heavy with the faint scent of dust and rain. The walls begin their quiet work, again absorbing sound, softening movement, holding the weight of time without complaint. When night falls on the tower, the world outside fades quickly. The noise of the city dulls to a hum, and only the slow rhythm of footsteps remains. The walls seem to listen to those who pass by. They hold more than structure, they hold memory. The marks of countless days linger within them, not as echoes but as impressions. They whisper, not with sound, but with stillness, the language of endurance that has no need for words. Palan Saja. The night is returning, and the tower is awake once more. Inside the courtyard, shadows begin to climb the walls. The light of lanterns flickers across the stone, catching uneven surfaces where hands once built, repaired, and shaped. Every inch of the tower bears the marks of its making. The walls do not speak of grand events, they speak of effort, of human touch, of patience. When wind moves through the narrow passageways, it slides over these rough edges, creating a low hum. Some call it the tower's sigh, but it isn't sorrow, it's rhythm. The air moves as it always has, brushing the same paths, circling the same stones, whispering through the same spaces. The guards walking nearby sometimes stop, hearing what sounds like faint speech, but it's only the wind tracing memory. The tower does not mourn what has passed. It simply remembers, gently, with gratitude for all that was built to last, through care and calm obedience to purpose. The deeper you go within, the warmer the walls become. They have absorbed the heat of the day and now release it slowly, like quiet breath. If you rest your palm against the stone, it feels alive not because it moves, but because it holds everything that once did. The walls have known laughter, command, and silence. They've held the weight of armor and the softness of rest. They do not choose what to remember, they keep it all. That is their purpose, to receive and to hold without judgment. When the lantern light wavers, shadows move across their surface like memories returning for a moment before fading again. In those shifting shapes, you can almost imagine time itself walking down the corridor steady, unhurried, unchanged in its task. The tower's whisper is patient. It tells no secrets, only lessons in endurance. To listen is to be still enough to hear peace itself. Near the white tower, the air grows cooler, and the faint murmur of the river returns. The walls here have stood longest, their color darkened by age and air. Some of the stones still bear the lines of chisels from the 11th century marks, left by hands that shaped history in silence. Those lines have never been erased. They rest quietly beneath the touch of time, softened but present. The walls here don't shout their age. They wear it gently. When the breeze brushes them, the sound changes. It deepens, as if the tower itself hums in acknowledgement of its own longevity. To walk past these walls at night is to stand beside patience, itself not as a force, but as a companion. The Almighty has allowed them to stand for so long, not through pride, but through balance, through humility, through constant care given across generations. Some nights, when the air is damp, the walls release moisture gathered through the day. It beads across the surface, catching the lantern light like tiny mirrors. The droplets shimmer, then fall, marking the rhythm of time in slow, perfect intervals. This is how the tower breathes, not in haste, but in cycles. What the day gives, the night returns. The guards, moving quietly through their routes, notice these changes without comment. They know the tower well enough to understand its moods. The stone may seem silent, but it reacts to the world with quiet awareness. It holds heat, releases water, listens to air, and absorbs sound. In its stillness, it performs the work it was made for, to protect, to endure, to remind. The whisper of the walls is not supernatural lit, the echo of creation fulfilling its purpose through the simple act of existing as it was designed to. There's a small archway near the inner courtyard where voices always sound softer. Even the loudest call fades quickly into the walls. The builders designed it this way, thick enough to carry stability, narrow enough to keep quiet inside. The result is a space that feels sacred in its simplicity. When the guards pass through, their words shrink to murmurs. Even their breath seems lighter, as if the tower itself were asking for silence. The whisper here isn't sound, it's understanding. The walls seem to draw in every vibration, holding it gently before letting it go. You can feel it when you pause, a faint tremor beneath your feet that feels almost like heartbeat. It's not the building itself. It's the memory of movement, the echo of centuries condensed into the smallest pulse. The tower doesn't speak of its strength. It shows it through restraint, through peace that asks for no witness. In the oldest chambers, the walls are uneven, their stones larger and rougher. The mortar between them is thick, layered over repairs made long ago. The colors shift from grey to tan to faint red in the lantern light, like pages of an ancient book. Here, the whispers of the tower feel closer, trapped between surfaces where air barely moves. Every creak, every sigh, every brush of fabric becomes a conversation. The guards who walk these halls do so slowly, respecting the intimacy of the space. The quiet here is not emptiness, it's density. Every sound carries weight. The tower holds it, memorizes it, then releases it when the next night comes. This rhythm, this exchange between sound and stillness is its form of remembrance. Through it, the walls teach that even silence has layers, and that within them, one can hear the peace that keeps the world balanced. When moonlight enters the tower, it finds the cracks between the stones first. Thin lines of silver crawl across the walls, filling gaps like threads of light. It's as though the night itself repairs what time has worn. The tower doesn't resist, it accepts it as part of its nature. Its strength lies not in what never breaks, but in what continues to mend. The walls know this truth well. Each repair, each layer of new mortar, each change of color tells the same story, that care is a form of devotion. The Almighty grants endurance to what is treated with care. The tower's whisper carries that lesson. It's the sound of history refusing to fade, of craftsmanship still serving centuries later. Those who pause to listen can feel it, a low, almost musical vibration that runs through the stone, like a prayer uttered not by mouth, but by memory. Outside, the river moves in rhythm with the wind, and the sound travels through the walls like distant music. The tower doesn't compete with it, it harmonizes. The hum of water, the sigh of air, and the pulse of the stone blend into something whole. This is the tower's true voice, not one of command, but of calm. The guards hear it without meaning to. It becomes background to their breath, a lullaby written by time. The walls, the river, and the night are partners in stillness. They remind the listener that peace is never absence, it's cooperation. Even the hardest surfaces can learn to echo gentleness. The tower's whispering walls show that sound and silence are not opposites, but companions, shaping each other endlessly. The night deepens. The fire glows dimly, somewhere unseen, its warmth carried not by flame, but by memory. The tower listens, and the world rests. As the hours pass, the walls seem to grow heavier with quiet. The lanterns burn lower, and shadows stretch long and soft across the courtyard. The whispering continues, low and unbroken, as though the tower itself hums in its sleep. The guards finish their rounds, footsteps slow and steady. Each sound they make becomes part of the tower's collection, stored within the layers of stone. This is how it remembers, not through words, but through rhythm. Every breath of wind, every drop of rain, every voice that ever passed through adds to its silent archive. The tower doesn't hold stories of fear or sorrow, it holds the sound of persistence. The whispering walls do not seek to be heard, they simply continue their quiet service, night after night, generation after generation. The fire has dimmed, but its warmth remains, like the patience of stone under moonlight. Peace continues, steady as breath. As midnight settles fully, the tower becomes quieter than ever before. The air grows cool and dense, thick with the faint scent of stone and water. The lanterns along the walls flicker, their light barely moving. The whispers that once filled the corridors fade into an even deeper stillness. It's not silence, it's listening. The tower feels as though it's waiting, not for anything to happen, but simply for the night to continue. Each breath of wind that touches the walls feels sacred, like a slow conversation between creation and time. The stones no longer release sound, they absorb it, keeping it safe. The guards pause, not from fear, but respect. They know the tower's rhythm better than anyone. It does not sleep, yet it rests. And in that rest, it reminds all who dwell within that even strength requires stillness to stay whole. Pelin Saja, we're still here. Somewhere in the upper chambers, the wind finds a narrow gap between stones. It slips through and hums softly, carrying the faint sound of the river below. The walls respond in quiet tones, shifting the air just enough to let the sound travel onward. It feels like a lullaby, soft, unbroken, eternal only by the will of the Almighty who sustains all things. The tower and its walls seem to cradle the sound rather than echo it, holding it close. The guards walking nearby stop for a moment, unsure whether the tone came from outside or within. The tower often blurs those lines. What is inside feels like part of the world beyond, and what is outside feels like memory returning home. The night deepens around them, gentle and forgiving. The whisper of the walls becomes a rhythm, like the heart of the tower itself, continuing its patient pulse beneath the stars. Down below, where the air stays cold, the stones glisten faintly with dew. Each droplet reflects the lantern light, multiplying it into tiny, trembling stars. The tower's walls shimmer as though alive, though the movement belongs to the air. Moisture gathers, falls, and gathers again, as it has for centuries. The guards often speak of this sight quietly, calling it the tower's way of breathing. The stones exhale warmth, and the night gives back its cool. It's a perfect exchange, unseen but constant. This is how the tower endures, by giving and receiving, never holding too tightly to either day or night. Even the strongest structure finds peace in surrendering to the rhythm of the world. The walls whisper that truth in their own quiet language, a promise that no matter how much changes beyond these gates, patience will always have a place to rest here. Above the courtyard, the moon drifts low, casting its silver light against the outer wall. The tower glows faintly beneath it, the stones turning pale and soft. The light travels slowly across the surface, uncovering marks and textures that vanish by day. Each groove, each imperfection tells a story written not in words, but in work centuries of hands that built, repaired, and tended with devotion. The Almighty allowed these small acts of care to accumulate until they became something lasting. The tower does not remember names, but it remembers effort. The moonlight reveals that memory gently, like water brushing over sand. The walls hold it all, the weight of work, the rhythm of watchfulness, the stillness of understanding. The tower, silent and bright beneath the moon, stands not as a monument to greatness, but to faithfulness. That is its whisper, the kind that humbles rather than commands. In the passage leading to the inner keep, the sound changes again. It's lower now, deeper, almost like a vibration. The tower feels alive in a way that has nothing to do with motion. It's the hum of stability, the quiet energy of something fulfilling its purpose. The guards can feel it through the soles of their boots, a subtle trembling that reminds them they're part of something much older. The tower's voice isn't one of words, but of balance. The walls take every noise, wind, step, murmurand, blend them into harmony. To stand here is to feel included in that order, a small part of a larger piece. Even the air seems to move slower, as though reluctant to disturb the rhythm. This is what the tower protects, not secrets, but stillness. It shelters calm itself, ensuring that peace has a place to continue, even when the world beyond grows restless. In the darkest corner of the courtyard, where no lantern reaches, the stones gleam faintly with their own memory of light. The tower holds onto every glimmer, releasing it slowly as the night passes. It is as though the walls refuse to let the world go completely dark. That soft illumination feels alive, not in defiance of night, but as comfort within it. It speaks of balance, of how light and dark can exist side by side without struggle. The guards walking nearby sense it but never disturb it. They've learned that the tower's calm cannot be forced or explained. It simply exists, like the river's flow or the slow turning of the sky. The whispering walls seem to breathe with the same patience. They offer peace without asking anything in return. Quiet mercy carved into stone. The air around them feels lighter, easier to rest in. Sometimes the walls remember sound long after it has gone. A footstep, a breath, the faint rustle of fabric. All fade, yet their traces linger like warmth after a fire. The tower holds them all not as ghosts, but as impressions of life. It doesn't cling, it preserves. This, perhaps, is the difference between memory and haunting. What remains here is not fear its continuity. The walls record every moment of calm as carefully as they once held sound. Even silence leaves its mark. If you close your eyes, you can feel it, like the echo of kindness in a quiet room. The tower teaches this lesson silently, that gentleness leaves deeper marks than noise ever could. The guards walking the midnight watch are part of that lineage now. Their stillness becomes another layer of history pressed softly into the tower's breathing walls. Far above, ravens shift on their perches. Their faint movements stir the air, carrying tiny vibrations down to the stones below. Even these sounds become part of the tower's quiet language. The walls do not resist them. They accept each flutter, each breath, as if adding new verses to an endless hymn. The tower is not empty, it is full of sound, too soft to notice, yet powerful enough to hold centuries together. The stones don't speak of what they've seen, they speak of how they've endured. The Almighty gives them strength through stillness, and they return that strength through peace. The night deepens, but the tower does not grow weary. Its calm remains steady, a pulse of patience beating beneath the sky. The whispering walls continue their song, not to be heard, but to be felt. Their music exists for those who choose to be still. When the air grows colder near dawn, the whispers become lighter, almost vanishing. The tower seems to hush itself, preparing for morning. The wind slows, and the sound of the river grows clearer again, steady and calm. The lanterns flicker their last light, painting the walls gold for just a moment before dimming. The guards, finishing their rounds, walk slower now. Their work is nearly done, yet they move carefully, as though not to disturb the quiet. The tower appreciates such gentleness. Its stillness deepens because of it. The whispering walls no longer hum, they breathe. The entire fortress seems to rest within a single long sigh, content with another night fulfilled. What remains is peace, thick, visible, present. The tower has done what it always does, hold time still for just a little while longer, and through that patience, it becomes a keeper of serenity itself. As the horizon begins to pale, the tower releases its final whisper. It isn't sound, it's sensation. The air lightens, the stones cool, the rhythm of the night gives way to the slow pulse of morning. The first light catches the walls, revealing soft traces of warmth from the lamps before they fade. The guards look once toward the sky, then toward the river, and the tower stands quietly between them, at peace. Its whispers dissolve into the hum of the waking city, absorbed into the sounds of footsteps, water, and birds. Yet somewhere, deep inside, the stillness remains. The walls remember everything the night entrusted to them, each breath, each echo, each patient silence. And as the sun finally rises, the tower seems to smile in its own way, through light and stone. The fire has gone out now, but its warmth continues unseen, steady, everlasting in peace. When night falls over the tower, one sound always breaks the silence, the measured footsteps of the keeper of keys. His routine never changes, not even by a minute. The ceremony is as old as the walls themselves, passed down from one careful hand to another. It isn't grand or loud, it's a ritual of peace. The click of the keys, the creak of gates, the quiet response of the guards, it all becomes part of the tower's nightly rhythm. Each lock closed, each door checked, every motion deliberate and calm. The keeper doesn't rush. He walks with the patience of centuries behind him. The Almighty has granted him this duty, small in action yet heavy with meaning. To close the gates of 1,000 years is not to seal the world out, it's to let the tower rest. The ceremony begins, quiet and steady, like breath. The keeper moves through the first archway, the lantern in his hand glowing softly. The light flickers across the damp stone, tracing lines on the walls that seem to follow him. Behind him, the tower guard follows silent, respectful, each footstep landing in rhythm. The air is cool and still. The river hums faintly in the distance. Nothing interrupts this path. It has been walked every night without fail. The tower's locks are old, iron-forged generations ago, polished smooth by use. They turn with slow precision, a sound that feels more like heartbeat than metal. The keeper speaks the same words his predecessors have whispered for centuries, a calm exchange between man and place. "All's well," one says softly. "All's well," comes the reply. The tower listens. Its walls hold the words like a promise renewed nightly, echoing softly before fading back into stillness. The courtyard glows in fragments of light, lanterns swinging gently with the breeze. The keeper's figure moves between them, his cloak brushing the cobblestones. Above him, the tower's shadow stretches across the ground, long and protective. Each corner he passes seems to sigh in recognition. This is not a task of ownership, it's one of stewardship. The keeper guards not just the tower's safety, but its peace. The act of turning a key, of closing a gate, becomes a prayer of continuity. The tower's great doors have known every generation of keepers. Each has felt the same weight of metal in their hands. Each has trusted the same steady rhythm. When the final lock clicks into place, it is not a sound of confinement, but of care. The tower does not sleep, yet it simply grows, still, knowing its watcher has honored the night once again. The ritual moves onward to the middle tower, where the echo grows louder beneath the arch. The keeper pauses to adjust the lantern, its glow revealing marks carved into the wood long ago. Initials, dates, signs left by those who once stood where he stands now. The tower keeps them all, unpolished, untouched. They are not decoration, they are memory. The keeper runs his fingers lightly across them before turning the next lock. The air feels thick with the scent of oil and iron. Somewhere, a raven shifts on its perch, feathers rustling softly. The sound blends with the faint jingle of keys, creating a rhythm that feels like heartbeat and breath combined. Every motion connects the present to the past. The tower's patience and the keeper's duty meet in this still hour, reminding all who listen that peace is something earned, one lock at a time. The keys themselves are heavy, each one shaped differently, each one with purpose. They are cold to the touch, yet familiar, polished smooth by generations of use. The keeper carries them not as tools, but as trust. Their sound, soft, clinking metal, marks his progress like notes in a quiet song. Around him, the tower's walls rise tall, calm, and watchful. The ceremony's rhythm is never hurried, for haste would break its harmony. The keeper knows every step, every turn, every word. He walks with reverence, aware that even in stillness, his actions ripple through centuries. The Almighty allows such moments to exist, where ordinary movement becomes devotion. The guards behind him follow silently, their presence steady. They know that as long as this ritual endures, the tower's peace will too. The final key on his ring glimmers faintly in the lantern light, waiting for its turn to fulfill purpose. At the outer gate, the keeper halts. The air is cooler here, carrying the scent of the river. He lifts his lantern, the flame glowing gold against the black iron. This gate has closed each night for nearly 700 years, and still the hinges move without complaint. The keeper turns the key with practiced calm, feeling the lock catch and settle. The sound it makes, a deep, clean click, travels through the still air like a note in an ancient song. When it fades, silence follows. The tower and the river seem to listen together. The keeper lowers his head for a brief moment, not in ritual, but in reflection. There is peace in the act of closing, comfort in completion. What is cared for sleeps well, and the tower, now safe within its walls, exhales gently through the whisper of the wind. The ceremony continues inward. As the keeper moves toward the bywood tower, mist begins to form again along the ground. It curls around his boots and the lantern light, softening every shadow. The tower appears almost dreamlike, stone and air blending into one another. The guard's armor glints faintly, catching fragments of moonlight that filter through the fog. The keeper's movements remain unbroken. Each step echoes softly but fades quickly, as though the tower swallows sound to protect it. When he reaches the next door, he pauses again. The iron gleams wet, cool beneath his gloved hand. The key slides in smoothly, turning with quiet ease. Another lock secured, another promise kept. The mist thickens for a moment, and the world narrows to the small circle of light around them. The tower's vastness feels close now, intimate. The air hums with calm, not from stillness, but from order perfectly kept. Through narrow passageways, the keeper and his escort continue. The air here is cooler, touched by the river's breath. The sound of water flows faintly beyond the walls, blending with the gentle creak of boots on old stone. Each footstep seems measured to match the pace of the world outside. The keeper's lantern swings low, its light revealing the polished sheen of centuries underfoot. These corridors have seen thousands of nights like this, identical, yet unique in their quiet perfection. The tower's memory stretches through them, unbroken. Every generation has passed this task down, never rushed, never changed. The walls seem to lean closer as he walks, as if listening to the familiar sounds of duty fulfilled. In this calm repetition lies peace. The tower doesn't require grandeur to be strong. It requires constancy, and the keeper, walking this same path, becomes part of that endurance. They reach the bloody tower last, the most solemn gate of all. The name carries weight, yet tonight it feels gentle, emptied of its old shadows. The air here is still, thick with history but softened by time. The keeper raises his lantern, and its glow reaches the high arch above. Dust drifts in the light like falling stars. He fits the final key into its place, turning slowly until it clicks. The sound is different, here lower, heavier, final. The tower accepts it. The ceremony nears its end, and the keeper lets the silence settle again before speaking. His voice, calm and steady, echoes softly, all secure. The guards repeat the phrase, their tones blending perfectly with the stillness. It is not a declaration, it is an assurance. The tower, locked and calm, rests now in perfect peace. The keys jingle softly, duty fulfilled for another night. The keeper turns back toward the courtyard, the lantern swinging lightly in his hand. The night feels warmer now, softer, as if the tower itself has exhaled. Each gate stands sealed, each door silent. The ceremony is complete, but its echo lingers. The guards disperse quietly, their armor whispering faintly against the air. The keeper pauses once more beneath the central arch, where the wind from the river drifts through. It brushes against his cloak, a gentle touch from the world outside. He looks up toward the stars, then down toward the ground, as if acknowledging both heaven and earth. His work is not heavy, it is steady. The tower's peace depends on his calm, and his calm depends on the rhythm that time itself has preserved. The lantern dims, the keys fall silent, and the tower stands watch, once more secure, serene, endlessly patient in the dark. The courtyard now lies in near silence. The echoes of footsteps fade into the corners of the walls, leaving only the faint hum of the river beyond. The keeper walks slowly, his duty complete, yet his steps remain careful, as though each one seals the calm in place. The air is cool and clear, the mist retreating toward the water. The moonlight drapes over the tower's stones like fabric, soft and silver. The keeper looks once more at the gates, all locked, all still. His lantern's flame sways gently, reflected in the damp cobblestones. The tower seems to breathe around him, steady and content. This is not a place of ghosts, but of guardianship. Each night ends the same way, with peace earned through order. And though his work is small in movement, its meaning stretches through centuries, preserved by those who keep faith in the quiet strength of care. In the stillness, the keeper pauses beneath the middle tower arch. The wind from the Thames flows through the passage like a calm sigh, carrying the scent of river air and cool iron. The walls hum faintly, their surfaces alive with quiet warmth from the day before. The keeper runs his gloved hand along the stone, a gesture more instinct than ritual. He feels its texture rough, patient, true. The tower does not speak, but its silence holds gratitude. Every brick, every hinge, every lock has served its purpose again tonight. The Almighty allows such peace to exist where patience is practiced. The keeper takes a slow breath, listening to the soft balance between stillness and sound. For a moment, time feels circular, past and present folded together. He lowers his lantern slightly, letting its glow mingle with moonlight. The air feels complete, as if the tower itself were praying in silence. The guards return to their quarters, one by one. Their armor clinks softly, each sound swallowed quickly by the tower's calm. The keeper remains alone now, his lantern dimmed to an amber glow. He listens to the wind, to the faint trickle of water near the walls, to the tower's unbroken heartbeat. Every sound holds meaning when everything else is quiet. The tower does not rest because it must, but because it can. Rest, here, is service. It is part of the duty. The keeper knows this truth deeply. His steps are slower now, no longer part of the ceremony, but part of reflection. He walks not as a guard, but as a witness to the peace his task has protected. The night, vast and forgiving, spreads over the tower like a blanket. The air thickens with calm, and in that calm, the keeper finds the simplest form of contentment. He stops by the outer gate once more. The iron bars stand still, glistening faintly with dew. Beyond them lies the sleeping city, quiet rooftops, narrow streets, the long shadow of the bridge stretching across the river. The keeper raises his lantern toward it, as if to greet the world he has momentarily sealed away. He knows this peace is temporary, yet that makes it more precious. Nothing made by human hands lasts forever, but its purpose can echo long after. The tower endures because it has always been tended to, not through greatness, but through routine care repeated so consistently that it becomes sacred. The keeper lowers the lantern again. The flame wavers, then steadies. The world beyond will wake soon, but not yet. For now, both tower and keeper share the same breath, drawn slow and deep in quiet gratitude for another night safely kept. In the open courtyard, the air shifts again. The mist from the river begins to roll back in, curling softly along the stones. It glows faintly in the lamplight, wrapping the tower in silver. The keeper watches as it fills the spaces between walls, softening every edge. The tower seems to vanish, slightly, as though preparing to dissolve into the dawn. It does this every night, blurring the boundary between what is seen and what is remembered. The keeper understands this language well. His duty is not to hold the tower still, but to guide it gently through its nightly cycle of fading and return. He turns once, looking back at the massive walls rising above him. For a heartbeat, the entire fortress feels alive, not in a mortal sense, but in purpose. Then the feeling passes, leaving only calms. The air hums faintly, the tower listening once more. When the last candle is extinguished in the barracks, true darkness settles over the tower. The stars above are clear, their light tracing faint paths along the river. The keeper's lantern burns low, the final source of flame in a fortress now at rest. He stands near the traitor's gate, where water laps gently against the stones. The reflection of the moon ripples across the surface, broken and mended by each wave. The sound is soft, rhythmic, endless. The keeper listens to it as though to music. The tower, once a place of defense, now feels more like a monastery, each wall holding silence as though it were devotion. The keeper feels small within it, but not insignificant. His presence is part of the tower's breath, part of the pattern that allows peace to return, night after night, through the same faithful gestures. He begins his final walk toward the white tower. The stones beneath his boots are cold, but smooth from centuries of steps, just like his. The lantern's light reflects faintly in the polished metal of the door's lock. He doesn't need to open it. The tower will keep itself now. His task is done. Still, he pauses there for a moment, listening again. Inside, the air feels thick with memory, with the hum of walls that never forget. It's not heavy, it's kind. The keeper knows that everything left within these walls will stay safe until morning. The river outside continues its slow motion. The ravens above remain still, and the stars overhead burn silently. Everything in this place understands its role. Every element works together toward peace. The keeper closes his eyes briefly, letting that harmony settle within him before turning to leave. He walks slowly toward his quarters, passing under arches that have stood for nearly 1,000 years. The air grows warmer as he moves away from the open night. Behind him, the tower remains steady, its glow fading as the lantern light recedes. He glances back once more. The sight never grows ordinary. Even in shadow, the tower seems to carry light reflected from the river, perhaps, or given by the care that shapes it. The keeper feels the quiet satisfaction of completion. He has not changed history tonight, but he has continued it. The tower's peace is his peace, and through that connection, he feels gratitude humble and deep. The Almighty gives purpose to even the smallest task, and in that purpose, comfort is found. He closes the door softly behind him. The night continues outside, seamless, undisturbed. In the upper rooms, the tower's stillness deepens. The walls seem to thrum faintly, carrying the sound of the river through their thick frame. The peace of the ceremony lingers, filling every corridor and chamber. The keeper's lantern rests by his bed, its wick cooling, the faint scent of oil lingering in the air. The tower breathes quietly beyond the walls, one steady pulse of stone, air, and time. This rhythm is what keeps it alive. Not power, not legend, but repetition. Night after night, the same movements, the same words, the same calm. There is comfort in this pattern, the kind that speaks not to the mind, but to the heart. As he lies down, the keeper listens once more to the distant hum of water against stone. The sound is soft, almost like a lullaby, and within it he finds rest. The tower watches gently as he sleeps. Outside, the first color of dawn begins to touch the sky. The river brightens, and the tower glows faintly beneath it. The keys, resting on the table beside the keeper, glint in the early light. Soon they'll be lifted again, used again, continuing the pattern that has lasted through generations. For now, they are still. The night has passed, its calm work completed. The tower stands, unmoving but full of quiet life. Each stone holds a story, each lock a memory, each silence a prayer. The keeper's work is simple but eternal, in meaning not through magic, but through devotion. The Almighty gives peace to those who guard with care, and the tower remains as proof of that truth. Morning stretches over London, the river carries on, and within these walls, beneath the lingering scent of oil and iron, the tower's calm continues steady, patient, and whole. The first to stir in the tower at dawn are not the guards, nor the river, but the ravens. Long before the city wakes, their dark shapes shift quietly against the pale light. They perch on parapets and battlements, still as statues until the wind brushes their feathers. Then, with a low murmur, one of them moves. The sound is soft wings against air, claws against stone. These birds have lived here for centuries, cared for and watched over like guardians in their own right. Their presence feels timeless, though they live by the same will and rhythm as every other creature. The Almighty gives all things their place, and the ravens have accepted theirs beside the tower. When they move together, their wings make a deep, rolling sound that blends with the breath of the morning wind. The tower listens. The day begins with feathers and calm. The raven's black feathers catch the first rays of sunlight. What looks dark in shadow now glimmers faintly blue, purple, and silver. Each color moves with the air, like ripples on water. The tower's stones glow beneath them, and together they create a contrast as old as time, motion above stillness, life above endurance. The ravens do not fear the tower's silence. They thrive in it. They have learned its rhythm, its patience, its peace. From their high perch, they see everything, the river glimmering below, the faint smoke from the waking city, the slow movement of guards preparing for another day. The ravens do not rush to fly. They wait, reading the air, listening to the hum that rises from the world as it wakes. In that still moment, it feels as if the tower and the ravens breathe together, both bound by duty, both content in watchfulness. When one raven finally takes flight, it happens gently. The air moves with it, carrying the faint echo of wings through the quiet courtyard. The others follow, one by one, circling above the white tower. Their shadows drift across the stones below, long and graceful. The guards glance upward, not startled, but comforted. For them, the ravens are part of the tower's rhythm, signs that the world continues as it should. The birds' movements feel purposeful, deliberate, never chaotic. They circle slowly, then land again, their wings folding with precision. The tower does not resist their motion. It allows them to move freely, and in that freedom lies harmony. No sound they make is wasted. Even their calls, deep, low, and measured, seem to echo the tower's patience. The wind joins their voices, weaving through their feathers. Above the sleeping stones, the air becomes alive again, filled with quiet gratitude. The raven's keeper appears soon after, his steps measured and calm. He carries food wrapped in cloth and sets it gently near their roosts. His presence is quiet, respectful. The birds watch him closely, but not with fear. They know him well. Each raven lowers its head slightly, accepting the offering. The moment feels ancient, though it happens every day. It is an exchange of trust, one that has lasted for centuries. The ravens depend on care, and the tower depends on their presence. Together, they maintain a balance older than memory. The keeper speaks softly, words carried away by the wind before they can echo. The tower's walls seem to hear him, holding his calm tone as another part of their long, gentle history. The birds finish eating and stretch their wings once more. Their dark forms stand out against the morning sky, still, patient, aware. When the sun climbs higher, the ravens begin to move across the grounds. Some walk instead of fly, stepping with surprising grace between the stones. Their claws click softly against the cobblestones, creating a rhythm that blends with the rustle of leaves and the distant sound of water. The tower's walls seem to observe them silently. The birds pause often, tilting their heads, as though listening to something too faint for others to hear. Perhaps they feel the hum of the stone beneath them, or the pulse of the river beyond the gates. Whatever it is, it keeps them close. They never stray far from the tower. This loyalty, though born from instinct, has turned into a kind of companionship. The tower and its ravens have become reflections of each other, watchers of time, content in their shared patience. The morning brightens. The peace remains unbroken. From the highest parapet, one raven spreads its wings wide, catching the wind. The air lifts it effortlessly, carrying it above the tower, where sunlight glints off its feathers. Below, its shadow glides along the walls, dark and fluid. The bird turns once, twice, then glides down to perch on the central spire. There, it remains still again, gazing out toward the river. The view from that height holds everything: the water, the city, the horizon bathed in early light. The tower feels alive beneath its watch. The ravens have seen seasons turn, rulers come and go, yet nothing disturbs their calm. They live not for spectacle, but for steadiness. The Almighty grants them purpose through presence, not display. As the wind rises, their feathers rustle softly, blending with the faint creak of wood and the whisper of stone. The tower breathes upward through them, silent and serene. The morning continues with the quiet rhythm of wings. Some ravens gather near the courtyard, where small puddles from the night's mist reflect the sky. They dip their beaks into the water, shaking droplets that sparkle briefly in the sun. The guards smile faintly, their faces softened by the sight. It's a small reminder that even in a fortress built for strength, gentleness can thrive. The ravens bring that softness every day, bridging earth and sky, motion and stillness. The tower seems to welcome their play. Its walls, so old and unyielding, hold space for life to move freely. The balance feels perfect: the weight of stone, the lightness of flight, the patience of morning air. The tower's peace does not break with their sound, it deepens because of it. Their voices echo once, twice, and fade, carried upward by the wind like a hymn of quiet joy. Near midday, the ravens retreat to the shaded edges of the courtyard. The sun glows bright overhead, and the stones grow warm. The birds settle, tucking their wings and bowing their heads, resting in comfortable silence. Even their rest feels intentional, like another layer of the tower's rhythm. The air carries the faint buzz of the city now, distant but harmless. The tower remains untouched by haste. Time here moves slower, as if the walls themselves decide its pace. The raven's stillness mirrors that calm. Each breath of wind lifts a few loose feathers, which drift lazily across the courtyard before settling again. The guards pass quietly, respecting the quiet. Above, the sky stretches wide and cloudless. The tower stands at the center of it all, balanced between stone and sky, shadow and light, strength and surrender, a place where even the smallest life becomes part of peace. If you stand in the tower at this hour, you can hear it, the faint coo of ravens, the whisper of wind through feathers, the hum of air through the courtyard archways. It's the sound of life that asks for nothing. The birds call to one another softly, voices deep and resonant. Each tone echoes briefly, then blends with the soft rhythm of the world around them. The tower does not overpower their voices. It carries them, amplifying their presence without breaking its calm. This harmony between creature and structure feels unspoken yet perfect. The Almighty gives everything its role, and when those roles align, the world feels balanced. The tower watches, and the ravens answer. Between them, the air seems to shimmer, a shared silence that feels alive. The river moves gently beyond, and the tower's shadow folds across the water, long and calm. As afternoon begins, the light changes once again. The walls take on a warm tone, and the raven's feathers glow copper under the sun. They stretch their wings lazily, shaking off dust and sleep. The air thickens with warmth, but the tower's cool interior balances it. Each shadow offers shelter, each breeze a reminder of the river's breath nearby. The keeper of keys passes below, glancing up briefly as the birds shift along the battlements. He smiles faintly. They have been his companions for years. The ravens croak softly, as if acknowledging him. The exchange is quiet, but full of meaning. It's an understanding built on routine and respect, the kind of peace that requires no words. The tower stands beneath them, vast and unmoving, while above it, the ravens trace circles in the light, an eternal dance of stillness and motion woven perfectly into the day. As the day stretches into late afternoon, the shadows of the ravens grow long upon the courtyard stones. The air begins to cool again, and the light softens to gold. The birds shift higher, finding their familiar places along the ramparts. From there, they can see the river glittering in the distance, a ribbon of moving silver. The tower below hums quietly with its usual rhythm, the creak of gates, the echo of steps, the murmured talk of guards. The ravens seem to observe it all, steady and silent. Their watch is not one of vigilance, but of presence. They belong to this hour, where the day's warmth begins to surrender to the coming calm. Each flutter of wing stirs a faint current of air, carrying the scent of the river through the walls. The tower accepts it like a sigh, as though remembering the peace of morning once more. The first hints of evening come with a shift in sound. The city beyond the tower hums faintly, distant, softened by walls and wind. Inside, the air carries the slower rhythm of transition. The ravens move less now, conserving their energy for the night. Their cores, once scattered and bright, become lower, fewer. Each one echoes briefly before vanishing into the thickening dusk. The light fades from gold to grey, painting both tower and sky in the same muted shade. The guards light the first lanterns, small sparks against the deepening calm. The ravens watch, unmoving, their dark forms blending into shadow. The tower begins to change its breaths low, steady, prepared for silence. This is the hour it knows best, when day ends not with noise, but with surrender. The air cools gently, and somewhere between earth and sky, the first star flickers to life. One raven hops to the edge of a parapet and looks down. The courtyard below glows faintly from the lantern's light. The stones shimmer where they are still damp from the river mist. The bird tilts its head, studying the movement below the slow walk of the guards. The flicker of flames, the calm routine unfolding again. The world below feels predictable, secure. The tower's great walls cast long shadows, reaching almost to the gates. The raven lets out a low, rolling sound, neither alarm nor call. Its acknowledgement, perhaps, of another day passing without disturbance. The Almighty gives even creatures like this a rhythm of gratitude, expressed through motion and stillness. The raven flaps its wings once, settling again, eyes half closed. Around it, the other birds begin to quiet completely. The tower feels fuller with each heartbeat of calm, its peace shared among all who dwell within it. The last of the sunlight touches the upper stones, turning them pale pink before fading away. The ravens shift once more, wings rustling softly in the cooling air. Their feathers catch the final light, shimmering for a heartbeat before the glow disappears. The tower darkens again, though not completely. The faint lantern light below keeps the walls alive with color-soft golds and quiet shadows dancing along the arches. The ravens settle, close to one another, their forms outlined against the sky. The city hums faintly beyond the walls, but here, time slows again. The tower does not fight the coming darkness. It welcomes it, as it always has. The ravens, to understand, they tuck their heads beneath their wings, not out of fear, but in trust. The night belongs to the tower, and they are part of its breath. The peace of evening returns, light as wind, steady as stone. When night finally arrives, the ravens are still. Their outlines blur into the tower's own silhouette. The guards, passing below, glance upward and see only shadows, motionless against the stars. The air feels cool but gentle, like the first hour of sleep. The tower stands serene, its stillness deep but not heavy. The raven's watch continues even in their rest, the quiet proof that life remains, even in silence. Occasionally, a feather stirs, catching a breeze and drifting down toward the courtyard, glimmering for a moment before vanishing into darkness. The tower absorbs even this motion, its walls echoing faintly with the soft rhythm of night. The fire within the guards' lanterns flickers but does not waver. The world feels whole, suspended between movement and rest. In that stillness, the tower remembers its promise to endure, to protect, to hold peace close until morning comes again. Up above, the wind moves gently through the parapets. The raven's feathers ripple, their wings adjusting slightly as they sleep. The sound they make barely audibly, like the whisper of fabric across stone. The tower listens. Each movement feels deliberate, as if woven into the structure itself. Even rest becomes part of the tower's pattern. The ravens, bound to this place by care and providence, rest without fear. Their nests are safe in the crevices of age-old stone, guarded by walls that have known countless nights before. The Almighty grants every creature its refuge, and the tower has become theirs. Beneath them, the river flows quietly, unseen but constant. The rhythm continues, water moving, wind sighing, breath within stone. All things aligned in harmony. The tower does not dream, but the night around it seems too slow, endless, calm. Every sound fades into a single note of peace. When the moon rises higher, the ravens wake briefly, stirring from their sleep. One lifts its head, blinking into the silver light. The world below glows faintly, the courtyard pale, the river gleaming. The bird lets out a low croak, answered softly by another nearby. Their voices blend into the hum of the tower, filling the air with a sound older than memory. It's not warning, nor language, just presence. Proof of life in the midst of stillness. The guards below hear it faintly and smile. It's a familiar comfort, one that tells them the night remains as it should. The ravens, satisfied, settle again, their forms blending back into shadow. The tower returns to quiet, but the faint warmth of their sound lingers. The air seems to hold it close, carrying it through archways and corridors until it becomes one with the soft breathing of the night. In the courtyard, the keeper of keys steps out once more, lantern in hand. He walks beneath the battlements, his eyes drawn upward toward the sleeping ravens. Their still silhouettes fill him with the same peace the tower gives him, steady, whole. The ceremony of the night is done, but his watch continues, as does theirs. He knows that as long as the ravens remain, so too will the tower's peace. Their care is not superstition, it's trust. Every living thing here, from the guards to the birds, shares in that quiet duty. The Almighty sustains it all, allowing harmony to persist in its appointed place. The keeper pauses beneath the largest raven, whispering softly, "Sleep well." The bird stirs slightly, then rests again. Above them, the stars burn gently, their light soft against the mist. The tower holds them both, the watcher and the watched within its calm. The night deepens again, settling into a rhythm too old to measure. The raven's feathers glisten faintly under the moonlight, moving with each breath of wind. The tower's walls hum with the faint echo of the river's song. The guards have grown quiet, their rounds completed. The keeper returns to his quarters. Now, only the birds remain awake watchers of both heaven and earth. They stand upon their high places, eyes glinting faintly, seeing the reflection of the moon in the water below. Nothing disturbs them. The tower, the river, the ravens all breathe in unison. It feels like prayer, though no words are spoken. The Almighty has written calm into their nature, and here, within the heart of London's stone, that calm endures. The night carries onward gently, unbroken, guided by wings and faith, by stillness and wind. The tower keeps its promise, wrapped in feathers and silence. By the time the first pale light of dawn touches the horizon, the ravens stir once more. They stretch their wings, shaking the dew from their feathers, then rise into the air as one. The sound of their flight breaks the night's last silence, soft, steady rush of air that carries the tower into a new day. Below, the walls glow faintly gold, warmed by the morning sun. The guards begin their rounds again. The keeper wakes, listening to the sound above. The tower, unchanged, feels new once more. Its watch has never ended. It has simply continued through rest and renewal. The ravens glide across the sky, circling once before returning to perch. Their calls ring out softly low, full and calm. The world awakens beneath them, and the tower remains patient, faithful and strong. The day begins as the night ended with quiet harmony and peace. By late afternoon, the tower's courtyard begins to glow with a golden light. The sun lingers low, filtering through the arches and onto the cobblestones in long stripes. Dust drifts lazily through the air, caught in the warmth before it fades. The ravens have quieted again, resting near the edges of the walls. The guards walk slower now, their movements unhurried, their voices soft. The air feels thick with calm, as though the day itself is preparing to rest. The tower watches without motion, its stones bathed in amber hues. Every sound, the creak of wood, the hum of the river, the faint call of a bird beak, comes a note in a fading melody. The courtyard holds that sound carefully, then lets it go. This is the tower's rhythm, gentle, constant, humble. As the sun lowers further, shadows stretch longer, and the world takes its cue to slow down. The air begins to cool, brushing against the warm stone walls. A faint breeze carries the scent of grass and water from the riverbank. The sound of the city beyond grows distant, soft enough to forget. Inside the tower, the courtyard feels like another world, self-contained, sheltered from the rush of time. The cobblestones beneath the guards' boots are smooth from centuries of steps, each one leaving an invisible mark. The walls rise high and steady, the same shade of grey they've worn for generations. Even the silence here has texture, thick and comforting. The Almighty gives stillness as a form of mercy, and the tower seems to understand that truth. Nothing demands attention now. Everything is allowed to rest. The shadows deepen, the colours soften, and the courtyard becomes a cradle for the coming night, holding peace like a slow heartbeat within the heart of London. In the centre of the courtyard stands an old well, unused but not forgotten. Its stones are darker, smoothed by time and touch. Once, this well provided water for soldiers, prisoners, and caretakers. Now, it reflects the sky above, pale circle of blue, surrounded by grey. As the light fades, the reflection darkens, turning from sky to shadow. The tower's image trembles faintly across its surface. The guards often glance at it while passing, though they never look for long. The sight feels too personal, as if the tower is looking back. The well has become a mirror for memory, quiet and faithful. A few leaves drift into it, creating ripples that widen, then fade. The sound of water inside is faint, but steadier, deep, slow echo that seems to come from the earth itself. The courtyard listens, and for a moment, the whole tower seems to breathe through that sound. A lantern is lit near the archway, casting a pool of amber light that dances across the ground. Its glow reveals patches of moss growing between the stones, green and soft against the grey. The air hums faintly with the sound of insects, small and steady. Each movement feels deliberate, part of a world that values quiet more than noise. The guards pass by in pairs, their silhouettes long and shadowed, their voices a low murmur. The courtyard receives them gently, absorbing every sound without echo. Above, the last of the day's light touches the highest battlements, painting them gold before slipping away. The ravens shift in their perches, restless but calm. One lets out a single low call, answered softly by another. The courtyard accepts even this as part of its silence. Stillness here doesn't mean absence, it means harmony. Everything remains alive, but at peace. As twilight deepens, the color of the courtyard changes. The stones lose their warmth, taking on a cool, silver hue under the moon's first light. The lantern's glow softens, no longer reaching the far corners. The air grows thicker, carrying the faint mist that rises from the Thames. It drifts slowly through the open gate, curling around the tower's base like a gentle veil. The guards pull their cloaks tighter, but their steps remain steady. They've walked this path countless times, and the tower has memorized their rhythm. The sound of boots on stone is softer now, almost like breathing. The courtyard listens without interruption. Above, the sky deepens into a quiet blue-grey, and the first star appears, reflected faintly in the still water of the old well. The tower stands motionless, yet alive with awareness. Every corner feels touched by the same quiet blessing of calm. From the walls, the light of the city can be seen faintly through the mist's small, flickering points that pulse like distant fireflies. Inside the courtyard, however, the light remains steady, anchored by the single lantern. Its flame moves with the breeze, but never goes out. The air smells of iron and earth, mixed with the faint sweetness of grass that grows between cracks. A sense of balance fills the space, warm and cool, light and dark, sound and quiet. The tower doesn't need to move to show its life. Its stillness is its strength. The courtyard reflects that truth perfectly. Time seems slower here, almost paused. The world beyond may shift and change, but within these walls, peace continues as it always has. The Almighty allows rest even in the heart of the city, and here, that rest takes the form of silence shaped by centuries of faith and care. A guard pauses by the well, leaning slightly to listen. The faint echo of dripping water reaches his ear, rhythmic and patient. The sound has no source that can be seen, yet it feels endless, like the tower's own heartbeat. He smiles faintly, then moves on, boots tapping softly against the stone. The courtyard returns to silence. The flame from the lantern flickers again, briefly dimmed, then brightens. Its glow touches the worn stones, revealing faint carvings, initials, dates, tiny marks left by unknown hands. They tell no stories, but their presence is enough. Proof that life has always passed through here, leaving gentle traces behind. The tower keeps them safe without display or pride. That's what makes this place sacred in its simplicity. The courtyard's stillness isn't emptiness, it's memory at rest, breathing quietly beneath the open sky. The fire of the lantern burns on, steady and calm. The mist thickens again, wrapping the courtyard in silver. It softens every edge and dulls every sound. Even the guards' movements seem slower now, their outlines blurred by the air. The lantern's light glows through the fog like a small sun, hovering low and kind. The well's reflection disappears under the mist, leaving only the faint ripple of unseen water. Everything blends together, stone, air, and breath. The tower seems to dissolve into the night, but not vanish. It becomes one with the quiet, as though fulfilling its oldest purpose, to shelter peace. Nothing intrudes here. Even the distant murmur of the river has softened to near silence. The Almighty allows the world to sleep in layers, earth beneath air, sound beneath stillness. The courtyard holds that truth perfectly. What was once a place of movement has become a cradle for calm, its stillness almost like prayer. In the far corner, an old wooden bench rests beneath a wall of ivy. Few notice it during the day, but at night it becomes part of the tower's heartbeat. The wood creaks faintly when the wind moves, releasing a sound like a sigh. The ivy above it sways gently, brushing the stones with each passing breath of air. This small corner feels alive, though no one is there. The courtyard has gathered the peace of centuries, and every part of it contributes: a leaf moving, a wall humming, a bench breathing. The guards pass by without looking. They know this place well enough not to disturb it. The tower has taught them that peace is not something earned with effort, it's received through stillness. The mist thickens around the bench, hiding it once more. Its sound fades into the hum of the tower's sleep, soft and enduring. The night deepens. The courtyard, once bathed in gold, now glows faintly silver under the moon. Every surface reflects a different shade of calm grey white, pale blue. The ravens have gone quiet again, sleeping in their high places. The guards slow their patrols, voices barely above whispers. The flame in the lantern burns low but steady, casting a soft halo of light over the ground. The well stands motionless, its surface smooth as glass. The tower holds its breath, though not in tension, but in peace. This is the heart of its night, silent, patient, alive. The courtyard, once filled with the steps and voices of the day, now exists purely for rest. Everything the tower guards, its stories, its strength, its purpose, rests here too. Nothing moves, nothing asks. The silence stretches wide, comforting, unbroken. The world beyond continues, but here time stands still. The courtyard breathes slowly now, wrapped in its own rhythm. The mist hovers low, curling over the cobblestones like soft smoke. The guards move quietly along the edges, their lanterns dim and steady. The air feels thick with stillness, almost like water holding everything in place. The tower's walls no longer cast hard shadows. They glow faintly, as if lit from within by memory. Every sound, the faint rustle of ivy, the quiet drip of water from the well, feels deliberate, balanced. The courtyard holds those sounds the way the sea holds the reflection of stars. Above, the moon rests high, silver and calm. It shines without demand, its light falling evenly across every surface. The tower seems to hum softly beneath it, not in noise but in presence. The courtyard has become what it was always meant to be, a space where silence becomes comfort. The wind rises just enough to stir the mist. It drifts slowly toward the old archway, where the light of a single lantern trembles. The flame flickers, stretching shadows across the walls. For a moment, it looks as though the courtyard itself moves alive with the gentlest kind of motion. The tower accepts the change without resistance. Each breeze that passes through these walls carries a piece of memory, a trace of every night before. The Almighty allows such harmony, movement that never disturbs, stillness that never stagnates. The guards pause near the gate, their breath visible in the chill. One of them looks upward, following the curve of the moon. The sight steadies him. There's no fear in the quiet, only trust. The courtyard hums beneath his boots, a faint vibration of peace. Everything is exactly as it should be. The tower, eternal only by his will, rests in balance. By midnight, the mist begins to thin. It pulls away from the stones, unraveling into pale ribbons that fade toward the river. The air clears, revealing the full shape of the courtyard again. The well gleams faintly, the surface smooth and mirror-like. The guard's lantern reflects within it, a single golden spark floating on darkness. Around it, the tower's walls seem taller now, rising clean against the sky. Each stone glows softly beneath the moon, its edges blurred by light. The courtyard feels almost suspended, neither night nor morning, neither earth nor air. In this hour, the tower is more than structure. It becomes feeling, a quiet assurance that peace can be built, guarded, and remembered. The river hums faintly beyond the gate, reminding the world that time still moves. But within the courtyard, time slows to prayer. The silence deepens, vast and forgiving, and everything breathes together. The guards finish their slow circuit and gather near the arch. Their steps echo lightly, rhythmic and calm. The sound fades quickly, swallowed by the softness of the night. No orders are spoken, none are needed. Each man knows his place, his pattern, his piece. The tower has taught them that repetition is not emptiness, it is devotion. The act of walking, of watching, of guarding the quiet has meaning beyond its simplicity. The Almighty gives weight even to silence when it is held with purpose. One guard adjusts the flame of the lantern. Its light wavers, then steadies. The air smells faintly of oil and cool stone. Above them, the moonlight gathers into the well, filling it with liquid light. The ripples shift slowly, reflecting the stars in fractured lines. The courtyard glows softly, serene as breath. The tower stands unmoved, yet its stillness feels alive. Near the far wall, ivy moves again, brushing faintly against the old wooden bench. The sound is soft but distinct, like the sigh of someone resting deeply. The air here feels different, warmer, heavier with memory. It's the place where the tower keeps its gentlest stories, of watchers, of workers, of nights kept safe by patience. The guards never linger long here, though not from fear. They sense something sacred in the air, something meant to be left undisturbed. The bench creaks again, the wood expanding slightly in the cool. A small feather drifts past, caught in the faint breeze. It settles by the well, motionless. The tower feels that touch too, accepting it as part of its rhythm. Even small things matter, hair feather, a sound, a flicker of light. The courtyard's calm grows deeper, and within that calm, gratitude settles like mist upon the stones. The hour grows late. The guards make their final pass, footsteps blending with the hush of the river. The lantern flame burns low, now a dull orange, steady but tired. The tower feels heavier in the darkness, though not burdened. It's the kind of weight that comes with fulfillment, the peace after duty done well. The courtyard mirrors that feeling perfectly. The air is cool but gentle, the mist almost gone. The well reflects the moon clearly now, round and bright, a single coin of light resting in the water. One guard pauses to look at it. He says nothing, only breathes. The silence around him feels like response enough. In that stillness, the tower speaks without words. The Almighty has written patience into its stone, and every night it fulfills that purpose faithfully. The flame wavers once more, then steadies, holding the world's quiet just a little longer. The faint call of a raven drifts across the night, distant but clear. It echoes softly through the courtyard, brushing the silence like a familiar voice returning home. The tower listens, not startled but soothed. The bird's cry blends with the wind and the hum of the river, creating a harmony of life within stillness. The guards look upward, spotting a dark shape gliding briefly past the moon before vanishing into shadow. They smile faintly, knowing the ravens are still awake, keeping their own watch above. The courtyard absorbs the sound gently, as if welcoming an old friend. The night, though dark, feels safe again and live in quiet ways. The tower stands as it always has, but within it, the air feels full. Every whisper, every step, every wing beat belongs here. Together, they remind the listener that peace is never empty, it is simply quiet enough to be heard. As the last hour of night begins, the moon hangs low over the tower. Its light glides along the courtyard's walls, soft and silver. The shadows lengthen, stretching across the cobblestones like water. The guards remain near the gate, unmoving, their lanterns dim but steady. The well gleams faintly in the distance, its reflection now pure and clear. Everything seems held in balance, light and dark, sound and silence, motion and stillness. The tower does not command this harmony, it receives it. Each night, it allows the world to rest in its presence, to remember that even in stone there can be calm. The air hums gently, alive yet peaceful. The mist that once hid the courtyard now returns to the river, carrying the night's quiet memories with it. What remains is peace, deep, silent, and complete. The tower watches, as it has always done, without end or exhaustion. The first pale colors of dawn begin to appear beyond the walls. The courtyard brightens slowly, the shadows softening into grey. The guards lower their lanterns. The flames grow faint against the rising light. The well's reflection changes, again moonlight fading, daylight approaching. The tower exhales softly, a soundless release of warmth into the cool air. The ravens stir above, shaking their wings in the faint glow of morning. The courtyard holds one last breath of silence before the world awakens again. This is its holiest moment, the final stillness before motion returns. Everything pauses, listening to the quiet. The Almighty renews the day, as he always does, allowing peace to flow from night into morning. The tower stands between both, guardian of transition, keeper of calm. The courtyard gleams faintly gold, the mist gone, the air clean. The tower smiles through stone, alive with light once more. And as the sun rises fully over London, the tower stands renewed. The courtyard fills with gentle warmth, every stone glowing as if touched by care. The guards begin their morning duties, the sound of their steps echoing lightly across the ground. The well reflects the sky again bright, open, infinite by his design. The tower doesn't speak, but its silence feels full, as if whispering gratitude. Another night has passed, another morning given. The courtyard holds the memory of stillness, keeping it safe beneath the hum of life returning. The raven's calls rise once more, deep and familiar. The tower answers with presence, not words. And so, the rhythm continues day into night, silence into sound, rest into purpose. The fire of peace remains, glowing unseen within the walls. The tower's story goes on, gentle and endless, its breath in harmony with the world it protects. As morning passes into still midday, the tower settles into quiet reflection. The hum of the city fades behind thick walls, replaced by softer sounds, the flutter of ravens' wings, the steady whisper of the river. Within its courtyard and chambers, time feels slower, as if the air itself remembers. The tower does not think or speak, but it remembers in its own way. Each stone holds a fragment of everything that has passed storms endured, footsteps echoed, calm returned. The Almighty allows even stone to carry memory, not through thought, but through endurance. To stand here is to feel centuries resting in layers of silence. The warmth of the sun touches the old walls gently, as if to remind them they still belong to the living world. The tower does not answer, but it keeps listening. Its memory hums beneath the surface, deep and steady, like a heartbeat through time. The shadows shift slowly across the courtyard. Each one moves as if in rhythm with the tower's pulse. The guards continue their tasks quietly, their motions practiced and sure. To them, the tower is a workplace, but to those who truly pause, it becomes something else entirely, a vessel of memory. It holds no pride, no pain, only presence. Every sound within these walls echoes with care, softened by patience. The air smells faintly of earth and rain, reminders of all the seasons that have passed. The ravens watch from above, their black eyes gleaming with awareness. Even they seem gentler here, as if the weight of history has taught them calm. The tower's strength lies not in its power to resist, but in its willingness to remain. Through silence, it remembers. Through stillness, it endures. And through endurance, it teaches those who listen how to rest. Inside the white tower, light filters through narrow windows, landing in thin ribbons across the floor. Dust moves within it, swirling gently as if stirred by invisible breath. The air feels dense, thick with centuries of quiet. The walls here are older, darker, worn smooth by the passage of time and touch. Their silence is not empty, it's full of everything once spoken, now resting. The tower remembers laughter and command, whispers and prayers, footsteps and stillness. It keeps them all, not as ghosts, but as traces of life. To walk these halls is to move through layers of existence, each one soft, delicate, and sacred. The Almighty allows creation to hold memory this way, not as burden, but as purpose. The tower's stones carry what people forget, preserving it not in words, but in texture, in temperature, in quiet. The air feels warm with it, gentle and forgiving. In one corner of the tower, a single candle burns beside a small window. The flame flickers as the wind finds its way through the cracks. Its light dances across the wall, touching marks carved long ago, names, dates, symbols left by hands now long gone. The carvings are shallow but lasting. They are neither messages nor decoration. They are simply reminders that someone once paused here long enough to make a mark. The tower does not judge what they mean. It holds them all with equal care. The candle's flame wavers, but does not go out. It continues, steady as breath. The tower remembers this too, not the flame itself, but the rhythm it creates. The warmth it gives becomes part of the room's silence. When the wind fades, the light steadies again, as though acknowledging that even in movement, peace can remain unbroken. The memory of stillness grows deeper. Outside, the courtyard glows in the soft haze of afternoon. The air hums with the faint buzz of insects and the slow murmur of the river beyond the walls. The tower listens to it all, as if these sounds are chapters in its endless story. It remembers not through sight or thought, but through rhythm. The footsteps of guards, the rustle of wind through ivy, the caw of ravens' itch becomes part of its breathing. Every sound that enters is received gently, folded into silence without resistance. The tower has learned this art over centuries, to absorb, not to echo, to understand, not to answer. That is how it remembers without noise. The Almighty grants this kind of peace to what fulfills its task faithfully. The tower stands not as relic, but as recorder place, where history becomes quiet enough to rest without vanishing. The air glows with serenity. When the wind passes through the outer arch, it carries the scent of river water and sun-warmed stone. The tower recognizes it, though not as something new. This scent has drifted through its walls for nearly 1,000 years. It carries memory like a message without words. The air touches each surface lightly, and the tower accepts it. The wind has seen more than any human, yet here it slows. Even the breeze seems to rest within the tower's calm. The ravens lift their wings briefly, testing the air, then settle again. The sound of their feathers brushing stone becomes part of the moment's balance. Above them, clouds drift slowly, turning the sky from bright to soft grey. The light changes, but the tower remains the same. This constancy is its way of prayer, a quiet obedience to the rhythm written by the Almighty's will. Time flows. The tower listens. The afternoon deepens, and light moves across the inner walls like slow water. Shadows of branches ripple gently along the stone. The tower remembers this, too. The way sunlight plays differently each season, the way air thickens before rain. These changes are not interruptions. They are affirmations of life continuing around it. The guards walk through the courtyard once more, speaking softly to one another. Their words drift upward, bouncing lightly between the walls before dissolving. The tower keeps the tone, not the content. It does not cling to meaning, only to presence. That's how it remembers, purely, without attachment. The Almighty gives wisdom to all things in their own form. For stone, that wisdom is patience. The tower's patience has become peace, deep, steady, and untouchable. It carries the memory of every passing hour, not as weight, but as gentle continuity, stretching endlessly through time. The sky begins to darken. A pale gold light lingers along the river, fading slowly into grey. The tower's reflection shimmers faintly on the water's surface, trembling with each ripple. The river remembers too, though differently, carries memory forward. The tower holds it still. Between them lies the truth of endurance. One flows, one stays. The Almighty created both with purpose, and together they complete the rhythm of time. The wind grows cooler, moving softly through the tower's gates. The first lanterns are lit again, their flames small but sure. The courtyard glows faintly in their warmth. Above, the ravens return to their roosts, their wings folding neatly as they settle. The tower feels their presence, familiar and grounding. Every motion, every light, every echo of sound becomes part of its vast, gentle remembrance. The day ends not with silence, but with continuity and unbroken breath through stone. Within the chapel, the air smells faintly of wax and age. The benches are smooth from countless hands, and the stone floor gleams faintly in the lantern light. Here, the tower remembers a different kind of stillness. Not the silence of rest, but the quiet of reverence. The sound of footsteps is soft, each one respectful, as if entering another time. The flicker of candles reflects on the walls, drawing faint lines that move with the flame. These walls have heard countless voices rise and fall in prayer, but they hold none of them as words. They keep the rhythm, instead the cadence of devotion, the tone of hope. The Almighty allows even silence to carry faith, and here that faith lingers as warmth. The tower does not need to speak to show it understands. Its presence alone is enough, a place where sound fades, but meaning remains. By evening, the tower's memory stretches across every corner, courtyard, chapel, walls, and water. The light fades slowly, but the warmth it leaves behind remains. The guards' lanterns glow softly against the growing dark. The ravens have gone quiet again, shadows among shadows. The river continues its quiet song beyond the gate. The tower stands between all of it, collecting the pieces of the day like a careful keeper of peace. It remembers without pride, without sorrow. Its patience is its strength, its silence, its kindness. The Almighty sustains all things through balance, and the tower reflects that truth in every hour that passes. As the first stars appear, the air cools once more. The tower exhales softly, its breath felt as the faintest wind. Another day has joined its unspoken archive. The memory of calm deepens, filling every stone, ready to cradle the coming night again. As the final traces of daylight vanish, the tower stands enveloped in twilight. The air grows cool again, carrying the scent of water and earth. The sky above deepens to a deep indigo, and the first stars shimmer faintly through drifting clouds. The tower feels the return of its oldest companion, night. It doesn't resist it, doesn't fear it. Night is when its true nature awakens, not to watch, but to remember. The walls absorb the world's quiet once more, storing it like a gentle pulse. Lanterns glow softly in the archways, their light steady but humble. The tower does not need brightness to see, it knows this hour by heart. Every sound, from the distant river to the whisper of air through stone, carries meaning. The Almighty allows even silence to serve a purpose. The tower breathes in the darkness, and its memories settle deeper, layer upon layer. Within the courtyard, the mist returns thin and silver, drifting low across the stones. It moves as though pulled by the breath of the river, weaving softly through arches and gates. The tower welcomes it home. The fog carries coolness and calm, and with it the faint scent of the Thames. The guards slow their steps as they feel the shift. The mist isn't strange to them. It's part of the tower's rhythm, another chapter in its endless cycle. Each swirl of vapor clings gently to the walls, softening their edges. In that softness, the tower remembers peace, not the absence of sound, but the fulfillment of it. The fog drapes everything in equality, covering both crown and stone, old and new, with the same quiet mercy. The tower listens through it all, patient and unchanged. The night grows deeper, but not darker. Here, stillness glows faintly, alive with memory. The river hums beyond the gate, its voice low and soothing. The sound travels through the air, echoing faintly between the tower's walls. It has been this way for centuries, the steady rhythm of water passing by stone, each honoring the other's endurance. The tower and the river are bound by time itself. The water remembers motion, the stone remembers stillness. Together, they tell the story of patience. The guards hear it too, though they may not think about it. They walk their rounds to the same rhythm, their boots tapping gently in sync with the flow beyond. The Almighty allows all things to exist in harmony when they know their place. The tower does not envy the river's freedom, and the river does not question the tower's weight. Each fulfills its role, and both continue without pride. The sound of the river fades into silence again, leaving only calm. High above, the ravens shift in their nests, their feathers rustling softly against the night air. They are the tower's living memory, its voice when the world is too quiet. One lets out a low, steady call that echoes faintly across the courtyard, bouncing gently off the stone. The sound is not haunting, but grounding. It reminds the tower that life still moves within its walls. The echo fades, replaced once more by the deep rhythm of breathing air. The moon climbs higher, washing the tower in silver light. The glow reaches every surface, arches, walls, and windows, painting them with a softness that hides their age. The tower does not crave youth. Its beauty lies in endurance. Each scar, each mark of weather and time, is part of what it remembers. The Almighty gives grace to what lasts through humility, and in this moment, that grace feels close. Inside the white tower, the air feels denser, almost sacred. The faint smell of iron and candle wax lingers in the corridors. The walls hold warmth from the day, releasing it slowly like quiet breath. Every sound, the faint creak of wood, the shuffle of a guard's step, feels magnified. The tower absorbs each vibration, turning it into memory. This is not the memory of words or deeds, but of presence. Even stillness has texture here. The tower remembers the footsteps of builders who once worked by torchlight. the murmur of soldiers who rested by its walls, the prayers of those who found safety within. It keeps all of it equally, without sorrow, without pride. This is the mercy of remembrance, to hold everything gently, without judgment. The tower's patience becomes its peace, and its peace becomes a quiet offering to time, to creation, to the calm that sustains all things. The moonlight deepens, pooling in corners and slipping across floors like slow water. Shadows rise along the stairways, tall and soft-edged. In the stillness, even the smallest motion feels alive, the sway of a hanging chain, the flicker of a distant flame. These movements remind the tower that the present is still unfolding, even as it carries the past. Time here doesn't move in lines. It folds, rests, and breathes. The guards continue their rounds, the sound of keys faint and rhythmic. The tower knows this pattern well. Every night is the same, yet each feels slightly new, like a verse repeated with devotion. The Almighty allows this repetition to become worship in itself. To care for what is old, to maintain peace without demand, is a form of faith. The tower understands this truth through silence alone. Its walls hum faintly, alive with invisible continuity. As the hours pass, the sky turns darker, almost blue-black. The stars appear more clearly now, scattered across the still air. Their light glints faintly on the river, flickering in the current like floating embers. The tower gazes toward them, though it cannot move. It feels the shift of the night deepening, the coolness growing sharper. The ravens sleep again, their forms blending into the parapets. The guards have finished their circuits, their voices low as they pass beneath the arches. Everything here has returned to its most natural state, quiet, calm, at rest. The tower remembers countless nights just like this one. Each is different only in detail, but identical in essence. The air is full of quiet repetition, a song without end. The tower listens and understands. The world changes, but peace, when tended to, remains. The Almighty allows it to endure through balance, through patience. A thin fog begins to rise once more from the river, winding through the gate and curling around the base of the tower. It drapes the courtyard in soft grey, dimming the lantern light until only faint halos remain. The tower accepts it, as it always does, without resistance, without surprise. The fog cools the stone, filling the air with the scent of water and moss. In that smell lies memory, the earth's breath, carried from far upstream. The guards pause, their outlines barely visible now. They listen, though nothing speaks. The silence has grown too complete for words. The tower feels it deeply, this vast stillness that connects every living thing. The Almighty's mercy is present even here, where human touch ends and creation continues. The fog thickens, then thins, shifting like the veil of time itself. The tower stands within it, unmoved, remembering everything. Near the river wall, the sound of lapping water grows softer, blending with the sigh of wind. The tower leans toward it, as though listening more closely. The two have shared centuries of conversation without ever breaking their rhythm. Tonight is no different. The river carries away the reflection of the moon, while the tower keeps its image in stone. One flows forward, the other stands still, but both remember together. The Almighty has written harmony into their existence, a quiet balance that has outlasted generations. The guards, unaware, walk their final route of the night. Their footsteps fade quickly, swallowed by the fog. The tower's silence returns, heavy yet kind. Memory deepens once more, not as weight, but as breath. The world outside sleeps, But within these walls, peace stays awake, steady, patient, and endless in its quiet gratitude for time itself. And when the night finally reaches its quietest hour, the tower exhales. The air grows still, the river slows, and the stars hold steady above. Everything that moved through the daylight, sound, people, wind now, rests within the tower's embrace. It does not hold them tightly. It lets them settle gently, as dust settles in sunlight. The tower remembers it all not for glory, but for continuity. Every heartbeat that has passed through these walls remains, softened by patience and time. The Almighty allows such peace to exist, where remembrance becomes worship. The tower stands beneath the heavens, silent yet full, its stones warm with the echoes of life. The ravens sleep above, the guards rest below, and the river hums quietly in its eternal task. The night deepens into calm so pure it feels eternal, and within that calm, the Tower of London remembers faithfully, quietly, and whole. The dawn begins softly, a pale light spreading across the tower's stones. The night withdraws without sound, its shadows slipping quietly toward the river. The air holds that delicate moment between darkness and day, breath of calm that feels both ancient and new. The tower seems to stand taller in this light, though it has not moved. The Almighty allows morning to arrive not as interruption, but as continuation. The silence remains golden now, instead of silver. Each stone catches the light like memory awakening. The ravens stir in their nests, stretching their wings slowly. Their dark forms shimmer against the brightening sky. The tower listens as it always does, without expectation, without haste. The rhythm of life returns gradually, gentle and certain. The peace of the night does not fade. It transforms, carried into day like the echo of a prayer still lingering in the air. The first sounds of morning come softly, boots on cobblestone, the creak of hinges, the rustle of cloth in cool air. The guards begin their watch again, voices low and calm. Their steps are measured, not hurried. The tower receives their presence as part of its awakening. The sun, still low, casts long shadows across the courtyard. Each one moves like a memory stretching toward the past. The ravens call once, their voices deep and full. The sound rolls through the air, breaking the stillness gently, not shattering it. The tower breathes with them, its calm unbroken. The river glows faintly gold beyond the walls. The world outside begins its noise again, but within these gates the rhythm of peace continues. Morning here is not beginning, is repetition. The same stillness that guarded the night now greets the day, faithful and undisturbed. A lesson in balance, written through time itself. Inside the courtyard, the air feels fresh, touched by dew. The old well gleams faintly, its surface now reflecting the brightening sky. The guards move past it with quiet familiarity. They know this light, this silence, it belongs to the tower alone. The stones beneath their feet glisten softly, their edges blurred by moisture. Every color in the courtyard seems muted, softened by the gentleness of dawn. The Almighty grants peace even in stone, allowing it to rest before the heat of day returns. A raven lands nearby, tilting its head, watching. Its dark eyes catch the sunlight, and for a moment it seems to study the reflection of the tower itself. Perhaps even it feels the quiet intelligence of the morning, the unspoken knowing that this peace was earned, not found. The air carries that truth gently, as if reminding all who breathe it that calm is its own kind of strength. The keeper of keys steps into the courtyard, lantern in hand, though its flame is no longer needed. He walks slowly, his boots leaving faint prints on the damp stones. His task has begun again, though it never truly ended. The ceremony of night and morning are the same closure and opening, peace maintained through rhythm. The keeper pauses by the well, listening to the faint sound of dripping water. It is steady, almost musical, echoing softly between the walls. The tower seems to hum in response, a resonance too low to hear but easy to feel. The air thickens with familiarity. Every part of this place knows its purpose. The keeper breathes deeply, letting the cool morning air fill his lungs. His eyes follow the light climbing the walls. It's not just dawn, it's remembrance renewed. Each sunrise reminds the tower why it stands and why peace must be guarded gently. Beyond the courtyard, the river reflects the full glow of morning. Its surface ripples slowly, scattering gold across the stone walls. The tower, seen from the water, appears timeless, not untouched by history, but embraced by it. Every curve of its silhouette speaks of endurance, not pride. The Almighty allows it to exist, not as relic, but as reminder that strength lies in stillness and faith in patience. The ravens circle once above the river before landing again along the battlements. Their cries echo faintly, merging with the murmur of the current. The keeper glances toward the gate where the water laps softly against the base. To him, the river and tower are one different expressions of the same constancy. One moves, one stays. Both serve their purpose without complaint. The morning light widens, filling every space. The tower, renewed again, welcomes it silently, as if in quiet worship. The guards open the main gate. Iron grinds gently against stone, slow and deliberate. The sound is low but steady, familiar as breath. Light spills inward, bright and warm, touching the courtyard where night still lingers in the corners. The air smells of fresh wind and distant trees. The tower accepts the change calmly, as it has for centuries. To it, morning is simply another turn in the endless rhythm. The ravens take flight once more, circling high above the gate, their wings catching the sunlight. Below, the keeper lowers his lantern and nods toward the rising day. There's no ceremony needed for this part, just acknowledgement. The tower does not rush to meet the light. It allows it to enter at its own pace. The balance between shadow and brightness feels perfect. The walls seem to sigh, their memory shifting quietly from reflection to presence once again. Inside the white tower, the sunlight reaches deeper with each passing minute. It glides along the curved walls, lighting corners that were hidden all through the night. The air warms gradually, carrying the faint scent of oil and stone. Dust drifts in thin streams of gold. The tower's silence feels different, now less like sleep, more like contemplation. Every sound grows a little louder. The echo of boots, the call of birds, the hum of life returning. Still, nothing feels rushed. The tower remembers that movement can exist without disturbance. The Almighty has shaped creation with balance, and the tower mirrors that truth. It does not resist the day, it welcomes it. Its peace is not fragile, it's strong enough to hold time itself. As the light fills every space, the memory of the night remains intact, not erased but softened, woven into the calm of morning. Near the chapel, the faint sound of a bell rings. The tone is low and rounded, resonating gently through the walls. It's not loud enough to startle, but strong enough to remind. The tower's stones vibrate faintly with the sound, carrying it from one end to the other. The guards stop briefly, listening. The bell tolls only once, yet its echo lingers long after. It marks not duty, but gratitude, the quiet acknowledgement of another night kept safe, another day begun in peace. The tower holds the sound like it holds every memory, folding it into its silence. The air hums softly as the vibration fades. Outside, the sun continues its climb, and the river's surface brightens. The light touches the chapel windows, scattering tiny reflections across the floor. Each one trembles briefly before disappearing, as if even light itself must bow to the rhythm of the tower's calm. In the upper chambers, where the air is still cool, the ravens perch quietly on ledges, watching the courtyard below. Their dark eyes follow the movement of people, the flow of morning light, the slow turning of the world. They seem to understand their part in its silent watchers, keepers of presence. The tower and its ravens share the same task, though expressed differently. The birds see what changes. The stone holds what remains. Together, they form the tower's living memory. The wind rises briefly, ruffling their feathers, then fades again. The birds adjust, resettling with soft clicks of claws. The tower feels that motion as if through its own breath. Every living thing within these walls contributes to its harmony. The Almighty allows even the smallest life to serve meaning here. The ravens blink slowly, calm and aware. Their watch is quiet, their patience endless. The morning continues. As noon approaches, warmth fills the courtyard fully. The mist from dawn has lifted completely, leaving clear air that smells faintly of sunlight on stone. The walls gleam pale gold beneath the sky. Shadows shrink, and the sound of the river grows softer in the distance. The tower stands silent but not still. It absorbs the brightness as easily as it once absorbed darkness. Its patience remains unchanged, its balance perfect. The guards speak quietly among themselves, their laughter brief but kind. The ravens hop along the ramparts, calling to each other in rough, familiar tones. The keeper watches them from below, smiling faintly. Life continues as it always has, ordinary yet meaningful. This is how the tower thrives, not in grand events, but in the steady repetition of peace. The Almighty blesses this constancy, allowing history to rest in the simplest acts of care and calm. The afternoon light softens, turning gold around the edges of the tower's walls. The warmth feels steady, not bright, like a calm heartbeat beneath the sun. The river glitters faintly beyond the gate, its sound low and rhythmic. The tower does not chase the light, it receives it, patient and still. Every surface glows with quiet gratitude. The guards rest briefly, leaning against the cool stone, their work steady and without hurry. Above them, the ravens glide lazily in the air, their dark wings shining faintly in the sunlight. This hour is simple, but perfect. The tower does not seek meaning, it already holds it. The Almighty allows even stillness to be alive, and in this place, life moves at the pace of peace. The air carries warmth through every chamber, and for a moment, time seems to hum softly, content to linger here a little longer. As the sun lowers again, shadows return slowly to the courtyard. The air cools, carrying a hint of the river's mist once more. The tower adjusts with quiet ease, accepting the change. Its memory deepens with every passing hour. It has no need to hold onto light or dark. They both belong to it. The ravens return to their familiar roosts, folding their wings neatly. The guards prepare their lamps, small flames flickering to life one by one. The rhythm continues, steady and calm. Nothing here rushes. The tower teaches that every day's ending is also a beginning, that each silence prepares the next sound. The Almighty grants balance to all things, and the tower reflects that mercy in stone. The air feels thick with peace again, like the night drawing its first breath. The river hums nearby, and the light fades softly from gold to silver. Inside the white tower, the coolness returns. The warmth of day leaves behind a faint scent of oil, dust, and iron. The walls seem to exhale as the temperature drops. Every sound becomes sharper: the clink of a chain, the whisper of a door. The silence between those sounds feels sacred, deliberate. The tower holds that silence carefully, not as emptiness, but as rest. The Almighty allows rest as a form of renewal, and here that truth feels tangible. The tower has learned that strength doesn't always mean standing tall. Sometimes it means standing quietly. It continues to watch, not as a sentinel of power, but as a keeper of calm. Its memory stretches both backward and forward, touching every hour at once. Within its stillness, there's no loneliness, only presence. The world beyond may change endlessly, but within these walls, peace remains like the steady glow of a lantern. The evening deepens. Lanterns glow warm within the arches, their light reflected on damp stone. The sound of water trickling near the gate becomes the tower's only companion. The air feels thicker, filled with the weight of memory and the promise of another night. Above, the sky darkens to a gentle blue, streaked with faint silver clouds. The ravens have quieted, their silhouettes blending into the battlements. The guards move slower now, their boots softer against the cobblestones. Every part of the tower has returned to its rhythm. Nothing breaks the calm, not even the passing of time. The Almighty sustains this harmony as He always has, letting peace rest where it's deserved. The tower listens as the first whispers of night return: the sigh of wind, the hum of the river, the silence between both. All is as it was meant to be, still, complete, and deeply calm. The keeper of keys walks once more through the courtyard, his lantern swinging gently in his hand. The light casts slow circles along the stone, catching the marks and textures of centuries. Each mark tells no single story. Together, they form the tower's memory. The keeper doesn't need to read them. He only feels them: the patience, the time, the devotion. His steps echo softly, fading into the open night. The tower breathes with him, its walls seeming to respond to each footfall. It's a conversation that has lasted generations, carried out in silence. The air cools against his face, crisp but kind. He lifts his gaze toward the moon rising above the river. Its light brushes the walls in silver, steady and pure. The keeper nods, satisfied. The tower is at peace again. Its memory is safe, its rhythm unbroken. The night begins gently, as it always does. The river reflects the moonlight, long and trembling, stretching toward the tower's base. The sound of flowing water mixes with the faint rustle of ivy against stone. Together, they create a soft lullaby that fills the air with calm. The tower listens. The ravens shift slightly in their sleep, feathers rustling. A single feather drifts down from above, turning in the air until it lands silently beside the well. The lantern light catches it, just for a moment, before it disappears into shadow. The scene feels small, but complete. The Almighty fills even the smallest motion with meaning, reminding the world that stillness is never empty. The tower's silence is not the absence of life, it's the protection of it. Within its quiet, everything has space to rest. The night moves forward in perfect balance. The tower endures, and in its endurance, it prays without words. The fog drifts in once again, light and graceful. It gathers at the base of the tower and curls upward along the walls, softening every edge. The lanterns glow dimly through the haze, their light rounded and warm. The tower stands unchanged, yet somehow softer in the mist, like memory itself, half seen, half felt. The guards pause at the gate, letting the stillness settle before them. There's no fear in their eyes, only understanding. They've walked through countless nights, and each one has taught them the same truth. Peace must be protected by gentleness, not force. The tower embodies that truth with every breath of wind against its walls. The Almighty allows this calm to remain, infinite in its simplicity. Nothing disturbs the night. The fog thickens once more, then begins to fade, leaving behind only quiet air and the sound of the river carrying time away. Now, the tower stands as it always has, between night and day, between the living and the remembered. It holds the weight of centuries without strain, its purpose clear and steady. The air feels full of quiet devotion, not from people, but from creation itself. The ravens, the river, the stone, they all serve the same design, each fulfilling its duty through patience. The Almighty's balance can be seen in the stillness here, in the way silence never feels empty. The tower hums faintly, as if whispering gratitude for its place in that harmony. It doesn't seek to be remembered, it simply remembers. The guards close the outer gate slowly, the iron clicking into place. The sound echoes once, then fades into the vast calm. Above, the stars spread wider across the sky. The tower, glowing faintly beneath them, feels both ancient and alive, resting beneath their light. The courtyard is empty now, bathed in silver and shadow. The old well gleams faintly, catching the moon's reflection. The air is still. The firelight from the guardroom flickers softly through the archway, its glow warming the nearby stones. Nothing more is needed. The tower holds everything it must: the breath of the river, the patience of the night, the quiet presence of those who stand watch. The Almighty allows peace to dwell in places like this, where time slows enough for gratitude to settle. The tower stands humbly, not as monument, but as prayer. Its silence is the voice of endurance, of faith without words. The night reaches its calmest hour. The walls seem to sigh softly, not from weariness, but from peace fulfilled. In this breath of stillness, the Tower of London remembers quietly, faithfully, and forever by his will. And so, our quiet journey through the tower comes to its end. The fires dim, the ravens rest, and the river continues its eternal rhythm beneath the stars. Thank you for joining this peaceful walk through history tonight. If you've enjoyed this quiet journey through time, I invite you to subscribe and return. Next time, there's always another forgotten story waiting for you. Let your eyes grow heavy now, your breath steady, your thoughts soft as the night itself. And when you wake again, another tale will be here, waiting gently in the dark hour. Next story: did the ghosts of plague victims still walk medieval streets? Sleep well, and may peace stay with you until morning.